Hello everybody. How y'all doing today? Hopefully well. I immediately realized I didn't have the thing on. There we go. Hey everybody. How you doing, Luca? How you doing, Agent? Good. And thanks, Agent. Yeah, I remember that too. It was almost like it was last week. No, this channel exploded. So, but yes. Luckily, the you know, one of the little shorts really went viral, and it brought a lot of eyes to the channel. So I'm really excited to have all of you. Really can't express my gratitude enough. Immediately start dropping shit. Yes. Hopefully y'all are having a wonderful day. I don't know how about where y'all are, but it's hot over here. Next 130. Why specifically 130? Why 130? Wait, hold on. Is this weird? Look at that. It cut you off. Oh right. I was messing with the source in the intro, so I finally made it skewed. Yeah. Well, no, I can make points. Honestly, the points thing is I only need 50. So we were almost there even before all this, but I need an average of 3 people to watch the stream at the same time within the last month. Currently we're cleaning your room right now. Honestly, that's so good for you. I actually cleaned relatively recently, but it has gone sloppy again. I think I need to do it again. Waiting for the points. So what is the one thing you're looking forward to most for points? Genuinely curious, because I know I have some plans for the points, but I want to know what y'all want, what y'all looking for. One thing I will say before you say anything: there's definitely going to be a point redeemed for petting Mama Dodo. I feel like that's a given. I have to at least have that. I can't have a cute, fluffy looking face. Yeah, the custom emotes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to give that to y'all too. I'm going to make so many. I want to make a custom emote for every game that we play, where we just kind of take like the moment of it and then really personify it into an emote. I think that would be so much fun to really like put into work. But yeah, no, like there may be some like be right back screens that I'm thinking of that we can use some fun, good interactions with. Uwu and Ara. First, okay. Is that me saying those two things? Or is it going to be just someone else saying those two things? Because then you have to get me to say that. You have to get me to actually commit to the bid. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to be able to do that. To keep on cleaning from inanimate insanity while cleaning? I've never heard of that one. What do you mean, why, Agent? What do you mean, why? I can't imagine. I can't imagine why I would have some reservations of having a voice clip of me doing those 2 words. Okay, I'll keep an eye on it. Especially if it keeps on making you clean. If it makes me want to clean, I'll definitely give it to listen. Well, I'm well aware I can do it. It's whether or not I want to do it. And I'm willing to have that permanent mark on the internet forever. Oh man. So today, you should also watch the show. It's amazing. Okay, all right. You know what? I'm gonna add it to my little my list. Oh, I didn't put the timestamp on the video for the short I'm gonna release today. Damn, that's all right. I'll do it after stream. Let's see here. It's Keep on Cleaning. It's on YouTube. All right. If I say those 2 words, you will say it. What? You're not recording yourself. What do you mean? First of all, you can't prove it. Second of all, it's not the same. Oh, you will clip me saying it. Oh. I thought you were saying say instead of clip as far as the word you were replacing. Never mind. You're good. Oh god, you'll clip it. That's even worse. It's even worse, my guy. If you do it, make the uwu like 50k and oh shit, crap, I said it. Damn it. Say that where the first one. That's how you're gonna get me to say it. I'm gonna read your thing out loud. And it's gonna do it. I could do 50k and then 1 million. Oh no. Oh gosh. No, there's gonna be plenty of clippable moments, I imagine, where I'm gonna say some out-of-pocket shit. And your guys are gonna be like, all right, clipped. Throw that in the bag. Oh man, it would make making the best ofs that much easier. I just throw all the clips y'all make and just be like, okay, we're good, we're done. I don't need to go through all the VODs anymore. Yeah, sure, that's not spammable. Genuine question though, as far as like channel point rate goes, what is the usual rate for that kind of stuff? Because I have no clue. I haven't done any research on it as far as like economy-based channel points. How to properly balance that. I could do a timeout, but I wouldn't want to have to do that. You know what I mean? At the very least, I would imagine it'd be a couple hundred, no? Highlighting message is like 100 points for most streamers. Oh, okay. So that seems to be kind of like minimum kind of deal. And I would want like the other kind of fun interactive ones that I want to do to be a little more cheaper, right? So I don't think I'll do anything crazy. That's what you're saying. Those are cute little emotes though. What is that last guy? He's vibing. Look at him. Crow dance? Oh, that's cute. Like he's the original guy? Or he's just a guy who says it? Because I think a lot of people say it. Damn. Good on him. No, at the very least, listen, you can't just make me say it and then you clip it. You have to catch me off guard. It has to be when I'm really into it. You know what I mean? Where it just comes out and you're just like, yes, I got him. And then boom. Oh my god, that's so cute. Look at that. Bro, I'm so excited to make custom emotes for Mama Dodo. It's gonna be fucking nuts. It's gonna be so great. The animal well, I want to have Mama Dodo on a frisbee, and I think it's just gonna be Dodo spin, and it's just Mama Dodo spinning in circles over and over again. Honestly, if y'all have, so definitely Corgi Cam, but if there's anyone else that you're just like, bro, these emotes are absolutely like epitome amazing, feel free to give me some good reference to go off of. I'll definitely do Corgi Cam emotes inspiration, especially if they go kind of above and beyond, because I like to shoot for like really, really, really talented people, and then when I fall short, it's still pretty good. You know what I mean? How about for one of the point redemptions, maybe we should make Mama Dodo front face the camera? Maybe. Well, once I have the VTuber model made, and you know, it's gonna have, you know, Idealist the person or the character, and Mama Dodo's gonna be on the shoulder. So one of the redeems is that it's gonna move the camera so it's just Mama Dodo and it cuts him out of the picture entirely. So that's gonna be one of them, which is really funny to me. Oh, so certain emotes that you can use in other people's streams are only if you continue to sub to them? Ah, no, get out of here. What are you doing? Shoot. Get. Where is it? Where are y'all? Shit, man. I need to put up a ban words of cheap viewers. Got a free sub to Corgi Cam for someone. Oh, you got a what do they call it? Sub donations? I forget the name of it. Can you tell I'm old and not a Twitch viewer chronically? My god, man. Oh man. Got 30 sub for free. Oh. Damn. That's pretty good. Was it like a tier 1? And I plan to as far as separating things out, I don't know how other streamers do it. So, as far as the ratio between things you have and things you don't have between the different subs versus not subbing, I'm considering it being like a 1-3-5 ratio. You're supposed to be giving me money, Agent. You're supposed to be giving me my money. What do you mean? I thought we had a deal, Agent. You gave me a certain amount of subs and I would get you the cheaper version of the game. Still don't know if that's legal. But no, like I was thinking like a 1-3-5 ratio, and where it's like if you are a tier, for every 5 emotes for tier 1 sub, I make 3 emotes for a tier 2 sub and 1 emote for a tier 3 sub, and then like the followers but not subs will still have like plenty of others as well. That's what kind of what I was thinking. But that was kind of the ratio. So like a 5-3-1 ratio. I don't know how many non-sub emotes I want to make. Not that I'm saying that it's like, oh, you gotta pay in order to get these emotes, but I just don't know what kind of ratio I want to give it. Maybe a 3-5-3-1? But like, so as far as things that I want to add, which is funny, which is really funny, is the fact that like I want to make the custom emotes. I want to make custom like those like sounds of people following and sub and raids and all that kind of stuff. And then I also want to make a custom chat for y'all, so it's not just like I reach with 0 followers. Thank you, sir. Oh man, you know what? I've really made it. I'm getting rated with 0 followers. Or not, I have 11 all our streamers. I don't know. Hold on, let me let's see. Can I look? Yeah, I can see you have 11 followers when I click yeah. Move this out. Okay. You're trying to start streaming, no one has viewed it yet? It takes a while. I started in late March, so April, May, June, July, August, almost September. So by the end of September, it'll be 6 months for me for streaming. So it takes a while. And I was lucky enough that when I first started, I have like a big group of like of friends that I've been with for a long time now. Thank you, Final Fantasy and Destiny, for that. And so as soon as I started, I immediately jumped from like 0 to like 8 follows, 11 follows ish, and that kind of helped a little bit. So I'm not just sitting on 0. And then like some people like Agent and Lux and like a handful of others that have kind of like stopped by. Like when and a lot of times it was just me and them, and it was fine. It was fun. Yeah, Agent. It was when I was when we were doing the cleanup, the visceral cleanup. That's when you joined up, and you've been trying to talk me into cleaning games ever since. Hell yeah! Congrats! You went pretty far ahead. Or did you not start from the beginning? Because it's taken me like quite a bit to get to that point where I got all of them and then I got them again. Yeah, I know, Agent, I know. You just love those cleaning games. It's your bread and butter. You'll get the others soon before you even know it. All right. Well. Wait, why is it still cut off? There you go. Paint the Town Red is a good cleaning game. Oh, I know you do. I know it is. You could mention it. All right. Okay. Oh, now I remember what I was saying. I want to make all those things for y'all for the stream, like the chat stuff, the animations, the new sound alerts, etc. But I was planning to have that in and ready to go before I became affiliate, because there was making the custom emotes for everything was going to be a whole different like project I was going to do, and that was going to happen right when I became affiliate. So I have like 2 whole projects I need to get done that apparently the way that y'all have been, like the support y'all have been giving me, in like 2 weeks. I'll probably be affiliate in like 2 weeks. Before my 6-month mark, it's probably gonna be like 2. It's gonna happen. Like yesterday was, the average was like 7 people, which is crazy. So yeah. You're gonna have points to unlock it. How much a month with you? You following? Well, if following is free, you don't have to worry about that. And I believe a sub is 5. Oh, what's wrong, Luca? Why are you not feeling well? I don't know how much it is for you, for a sub. I know it's $5 USD, or at least I'm pretty sure it is. There's no way for you sub is $40 for you. I refuse. For a tier 1 sub, unless you're looking at like a tier 2 or 3. Yeah, there's no way it's 40. I know yours is like weird. If I were to guess, before you say it, Agent, I'm gonna guess $15. I'm gonna guess $15 for you. Because I think your, like, as far as the conversion between USD and Polish money, Pollers, I think it's like triple. At least from when we were talking about like all the cleaning stuff. So that's my guess. We'll see. Maybe we should actually do some game dev. What do you think? All right. So let me put like a little time stamp here, so when I'm editing, I'm like, hey, we actually started talking about game dev stuff at 19 minutes in. Damn, it's $1,000. Sure it is. Okay. Are you buying? Yeah, 18. Damn, so close. I was so close. Maybe they jacked up the price. Or maybe it's for the phone version, because I know that's more expensive or something like that. All right. So, game dev. That's what we're doing. Last time that we did it, we actually did like a lot of good work to it. And now, when we click on things, yeah, this is the indie horror game. So this is what it looks like right now. In that whenever I click an object, it recognizes different objects. So that's the radio, that's the phone, that's the printer, and that's the numpad. And then what we need to design is when we click on it, we have a tween or a tweener, which is probably one of the funniest words I've ever come across in my life. I don't know why I find tweener so funny, but to me it's hilarious. And it will move the current camera right now, and when I click it, it will slowly move between the 2 cameras. So it's kind of like zooms in and then zooms out, and that's what we want to move towards. But as much as I want to do that, I'm going to do a bad decision, and I want to jump a little bit ahead and talk about the imposter system, which is something that we shouldn't be tackling until we finish the camera system. But as I was taking a shower today, I was like, I really want to break it down. I really just want to kind of like figure out how I want to go about this. So we're going to be counting our chickens before we hatch, just a little bit. We need a coworker just spinning in the background. like, just like they're on the chair and it's just spinning over and over again. They just keep pushing, like going faster and faster. That would be pretty funny. All right, so actually let's switch to computer camera. There we go. Make you the current one. Make you off the current one. And then, so we have this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a little snip. And I'm going to just do something like that. There we go. Oh, I was hoping that we can do it. Let's actually just do the whole thing. And then I want to draw on it. Okay. All right, see you, agent. Goodbye. I wonder if you're trying to come back after 2 hours so we can play a cleaning game. No promises. Last call map. All right, and then let's switch off of this, the paint, and then we're gonna open the downloads like that. There we go. Excellent. So here is what we have. Right? Here is our map. We have our first house here. This is where it's going to start. Actually, let's make it a little bigger. Like this. There we go. So we are located down here. This is the beginning of the spread. This is actually the main character's house, and the person who helped them into this location lives here, right? So the first call that's the person's going to receive is going to be any of these 3 locations, right? So we could go about it in a different way, or a couple different ways. So we want to kind of base off assumptions, but we also want to break assumptions without it feeling frustrating. If we just made it so it's a completely random, where it's like, this got infected, and then it's like, oh, and then you get a call from this house, and it's like, oh, that can't be it. They're so far. There's no way that would be it. And then you're wrong, and you're like, what the hell? Why is that one getting it when that was the one that got spread, right? But I also kind of want to play with that. So I'm thinking it makes sense that it would be anything in the vicinity. So how we go about it is that we could make every house have a particular identification number. So it could be like, this is H0, and then H1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. And then say like, oh, H1 can only interact with H2, 7, and 9, or whatever, right? And then go about that way, and then connect everything, and then manually click everything, right? We could go about that way, which is tedious but efficient. But I also want this to feel a little more organic and a little less predictable. Like the sweet spot to me is always like you don't want something completely predictable, which is why there isn't just a linear of like, oh, you're just gonna go It's going to go here and then here and then here and then here, and that's the way every single time, because that's boring, right? And you don't want complete random, because that's frustrating. To me, having these potential ones, and then from here it's like, okay, so then it ends up being this house, so then it could be go here, here, or here, and then it ends up being over here, and then it could be here, here, or here, right? And it would just continue down that way, where it's like 1 of 3. But to me, that still feels exceptionally predictable, where as long as it's within those 3 choices, who cares about everything else that's happening on the map, right? Like, you can flag it in your brain that it could be a thing, but if every other option is a safe option, then it kind of doesn't matter that the phone calls feel weird in different areas. They're not going to be the problem, ever. So, what I am thinking is that at a certain point in the game, we can make the arbitrary thing now where it's like, let's say like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. They will get a call. They will get a call from like this house. And then they're like, oh, and then let's say for right now, they're like up here. Like 5 minutes in, they went here, and then they're like now in this area, and now you're trying to figure out if they're going to these 3 places. You get a call down here, and you're like, that's nowhere near. I'm gonna say that's not it, but it is it, because I like the idea of playing on the assumption that the player thinks there's only one of these things, in messing that up, saying like, no, I never said there was only one. I never said it was only going to come from this spot. They may also come from these locations. Or maybe over here. What if different houses in different areas have different situations? Well, that's why I want to play on that on the narrative side of things. Because the way I have, like, as you can kind of see, the houses are kind of distributed differently. So this group of house here are the older area. This is like they're a little more spaced, but they're not very industrialized, older population, rundown houses, etc. Welcome, Ratty. Welcome. What kind of tea was it? But then on the bottom here, you have poor housing. You have a bunch of houses that are really close together, and you don't really have a lot of space. So when I'm thinking about that is like the spread of it, where if this house gets taken, that means this is like, it's much more of like a chain, where it's like, if this gets taken, then more than likely it's this, more than likely it's this kind of deal, right? Like the farther away the one goes or near the green cross, the bigger the situation, while the closer ones are. Oh, one's near the green cross are more bigger situations, while the closer ones are. Oh, basically as the game progresses, the situations get more and more severe. Is that what you're talking about? Because that is kind of true in a way, because as the game progresses and they start spreading down here, they are going to create more and more issues. So in case I haven't explained this before, all these green areas are like areas of interest that, if lost, create an additional like hurdle, like problems or a removal of potential solutions. An example is the hardware store here. The hardware store, as long as you have that, when people survive an attack, they'll go to the hardware store, get supplies, and then head back and bunker down. And then now it's much more difficult for them to be taken over. The ones are more serious. Well, that's another discussion. We need to discuss to figure out how we want the distribution of difficulty to go. Because right now we have 5 tiers of difficulty, right? We have, what was it? It was difficulty, imposter system. Here we go. We have consistency, we have hearing, understanding, pronunciation, context, and knowledge. Those are the 5 difficulty things that we have going on here. So how would we raise the stakes, so to speak? Do we want to start on a random difficulty? Do we want it to scale depending on the actions of the player? Like the better they are behaving and reacting to situations, we scale up the difficulty naturally accordingly. Like it's difficult. Difficulty especially is difficult. And I feel like everyone kind of does this, but I looked at like Dark Souls games where there's a very natural kind of curve where the difficulty of the game is kind of where it's like different areas are accessible depending on your skill, the skill you want to go. So you go down the path that's naturally inclined with the difficulty that you're okay with, right? I would say, or at least what I was planning on, is that the difficulty curve does scale as far as the actions. But here's another aspect to it, and something that would kind of also define how we want this chain thing to work. So I always like treating the things that I am designing exceptionally organically. And what I mean by that is, what would a real life version do? And I think it's because I'm a scientist. I think it's because I have a lot more focus on biology and psychology than I do like tech. So when I'm thinking about this kind of stuff where I'm like, okay, let's say we have something like a creature that's really dumb, that they didn't wait. They're like tier 1 difficulty where they're so impatient they don't properly absorb the conversation that they're trying to stalk with, and then they kill them immediately, and they aren't bringing people in as they should. You know, exceptionally impulsive, right? And especially if we're going forward with the monsters having a very, like, I wouldn't say exceptionally intelligent, but intelligent enough to play on social interactions is, in my opinion, a very intelligent creature. And you have variability with intelligence with this. You don't, it would feel weird to me that it's like, oh, it's a difficulty 1, so it goes here, you get a phone call, and then you pick it up and it's like, oh, this dumbass is like not even sticking with the same voice, obviously, and then you send the cops over to them, and then they run over to that house. They don't suddenly get better at their job, right? They don't suddenly go like, oh, maybe I'm being impulsive, time to not. A lot of times they're just like, okay, cool, this guy is just dumb, and he's gonna stay dumb through the whole thing. But then we introduce more guys, and then this one is super smart, and this one is harder to do. And then if you go about that way, and it's like, oh, suddenly this one has a higher difficulty curve. So that also means that you have something that's really smart and can kind of play with the social cues of the player, in the sense of like, oh, this one down here can be access to any of these that are close by, right? But what if it's not just these? What if it's like, actually, let's go for something farther away. Let's go to here. It's going to assume that you're going to assume that it's one of these houses. So then it goes way over here. So a potential option is, and this is what I was thinking about in the shower. Most of my better ideas come to me in the shower. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I very much am. Is the idea where it is a percent chance, but it's a percent chance based on proximity. So it's like, we'll take this first house, right? And then everything within this line is like an 80%. And then everything within this line is a 15%. And then everything behind this line is like a 5%. Right? And then these ratios change depending on the difficulty that the thing has come in at. So the smarter it is, the less likely it's going to be closer proximity, and more likely it's going to be farther proximity, because it's going to try to play it against you. It's going to try to play your assumptions against you. And I kind of like that, because even like the dumb ones is just like no. And we could potentially also play with this in the fact of, because how do we want to treat a location, right, where let's say we do this, let's say they go over here, right, but you fix it, it's fine, it's now going away. What happens to this house? How are these things going to treat this house now that it's been like secured? Not necessarily secured, but it's been saved once. How would they treat that house differently? And how would the person living there treat their situation differently? You know what I mean? I'm also thinking houses closer to the hardware store need less resources you have since they're closer. I like where your head's at as far as proximity to resources. Because the hardware store for me was never a proximity thing. It was always people would just drive on the road and just go there and then go back, right? So it's like, so that as far as like what I was mentioning, where like how would a person react to have put yourself in that mindset, right? You are just in a small town, you're watching YouTube or Twitch or something. Driving on a road when you're farther away would be more dangerous, so that's why I said that. Well, that's an interesting way of putting it, Luca. How do we want to treat driving on the road, right? Because if the roads are open, people would just leave. Or at least most people would leave. You would announce saying, hey, everyone get the GTFO. There's a lot of bad people coming. Let's get out. So let's just assume that shit happened. Shit happened, the roads are blocked. Right? So I didn't put a whole lot of thought of what about the roads? What do these things do to people when they are driving? Do they do anything to the people who are driving? Do people accidentally run one over with a car? During lockdowns, I believe some states lock down a town so they can't leave it or something like that. There is no reason in the world why they would want people to stay in this location. There's nothing. If there were mimics breaking into people's houses, causing situations, there's no effing way that they're like, everyone stay home. Don't go anywhere. Like, what? No, go as far away as you can. Don't pack anything. Pack barely anything at all. Get the hell out of town. Or at least I would hope so. I can't think of a good reason why they would want them to stay inside. If anything, it's don't go outside, or maybe, what if, so we say that our house here, the main person's house, has one of the people that we care about, let's assume like a family member, or maybe like some giant trees power lines fell, we can't move them. Well, that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of like, why would we want them to stay inside, right? It would be difficult to say that the trees and power lines, because these things aren't a force of nature. These things don't use construction equipment. These things, like, it would be very difficult for me to imagine it. Like, I'm not going to put anywhere what these things look like. I want the players to kind of think of their own versions of what these things look like. But like, these aren't giants. You know what I mean? But giving people a reason not to go outside, I think, is a good way of kind of putting a good explanation as far as why people aren't just leaving, right? And maybe what we could do. Oh, what are you thinking, Luca? What you thinking? While you're typing, I'll kind of spit out what I was thinking. I am thinking that the person that helped you here, I think they went outside mimicking our voice and got ambushed and killed. So then they tell everyone, don't go outside. They're ambushing you while you're outside. Like the house, though the house is like you're trapped, at the very least it's some barrier between you and them. So maybe the rest said state is already taken over by Doppels, and this is the only town left. I want to, though interesting, I want to avoid that. I think it's, I'm not going to say it's overplayed, because that's not the case, but I think that's predictable. I like the idea where this is the start. Maybe not the very, very beginning, and this could have like popped up in little pockets here and there, but the idea of like, you thought that this was just the beginning, but in reality, this was the last town left kind of deal is, I don't know. It has a different flavor to it than what I'm planning on, I think. That flavor feels more post-apocalyptic, almost zombie kind of vibes to it, but the vibes that I'm trying to implement is a sudden and unpredictable tragedy versus a doom kind of feel. And there's a I forget the actual definition of it, but there's a kind of mentality, especially when it comes to Eldritchian horror, where if you go too big, it loses a lot of the fear in it just because it's incomprehensible, or at least it is something that you cannot fight against. And though I want to implement the feeling of you won't win against this, I at least want you to feel like you could still fight against it. There's a difference between a helplessness and a 0% chance of you having any chance of you being able to do anything versus you actually have stuff that you could do, but in the end, you probably are not going to make it through the night. Or maybe they don't want Doppels leaving this town when people try to leave the town. I don't know. The idea that they don't want Doppels leaving the town is interesting. Almost kind of like an SCP kind of vibe to it, where it's they treat it more as a infection or pandemic or endemic. What's the smallest version of demic? I think epidemic, maybe. Anyway, semantics. Where it's like, oh, this town got taken over, where they get ambushed and come in from all sides and all the people die. I thought pandemic was worldwide. So that's the opposite end of the spectrum. I'm trying to think of like a small town, like a disease spreading that way. What's the smallest version of demic? Anyway, do we want to throw in government conspiracy in the hat here? I'm a huge fan of SCP, do not get me wrong. But if we go down the route of saying that there's some kind of government interaction or government control, that means we're going to have to open up the can of worms of government control and interaction and corrupt government and all that other fun shenaniganery, right? Maybe we could play, I think adding the government would throw off the whole vibe. Yeah. The vibe that I think might actually be decent with it, that's kind of similar to what you're talking about with the kind of government thing, is have you ever listened to any of the like horror forest ranger stuff, where it's like a bunch of stories that forest rangers talk about? It's like probably all like made up, but it's like all these weird things happening in the deep woods, and they know that things are happening and weird things are happening and unexplainable things are happening, but they can't really do anything about it. They're not trying to like contain it in any way. They're just kind of like aware of it and trying not to die from it. You know what I mean? Lore for the game theory to solve, and you want to become more noticeable. Oh yeah, no, definitely. There's going to be hidden lore and everything in here, because of course there is. So it is something that we need to leave breadcrumbs for, but we don't want to plan every little like bit of detail for. Which is why I am thinking like, we need to at least answer the question of, was this noticed? Were these things going around? Continuing ART? Yeah, you know it, Luca. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how much people love it. I don't plan for this to be my namesake, but if people really love this kind of world that we're making, then why not? Let's move you a little bit more. Oop. There you go. Just don't end up like FNAF where the lore is incomprehensible. No. The closest thing that this is going to have with FNAF is the fact that you're interacting with different areas on the, like, equipment. That's the closest thing. FNAF, well, the reason FNAF became, like, the way it is just because people, like, exploded with it, so that everyone came up with their own theories, and then you built upon those theories that other people made up, and it's a whole thing where it's a 1,000-headed hydra at this point. So we're not gonna, first of all, we're not gonna try to make FNAF, because that's a bad idea. To try to make something similar. But yeah, no. And that's part of the reason why I want to do a live stream on, is to make sure that what I decide to move forward isn't like shit. You know what I mean? Be like, no, that dude, don't do that. That's stupid. Don't do that. But anyway, so there's two questions that we need to answer then when it comes to the spread of this, because we have to think about it organically and at the same time in a bubble, right? We need to answer can't go outside, and we need to answer who knows. Who knows about this situation? If things are coming, so as far as the lore goes, the main character got into an accident and was hospitalized. She was brought back from the hospital back to work with who knows the amount of time. I'm not putting a time on it. She came back to work after getting hospitalized after a long period of time. And when she came back to this town and started working, after being dropped off by a person that she cares about, I'm assuming a family member, because they live in the same place. I might have it like a partner or something. Those things followed her from the accident, and then followed the person back to her location and started it all. So how would that be flagged, and who would know about it? In the sense of these things that have always kind of existed in the periphery of things going wrong, of people being abducted, as far as voices in the night. Who would know? Okay, so another idea, what if people don't want to leave the town since they're afraid of losing loved ones if they leave while they are a double? They're afraid of losing loved ones if they leave while they are a double. As in, I'm assuming if people leave, they're going to take everyone who's there. They're not going to leave anyone behind. If I'm understanding what you're putting out there, Luca. As far as people leaving, I am liking the idea that the reason people don't leave and why they're saying people don't leave is because the first victim got killed when they left the house. So then they know, like, hey, don't leave. They're killing you as soon as you step outside. Then it's like, if you try to leave, they'll just kill you. So then people bunker down. That to me feels very natural. Yeah, but if they're already a double, then they wouldn't want to leave. True. I see what you mean. because in my mind, because I'm trying to put myself in the mind of someone who's trying to take care of people, right? Why would I tell people not to go outside? If these monsters are breaking into houses, the last thing I'm telling people is stay inside a house, because they could break into a houses, because that just kind of solves their plan, where it's like, hey, they're making us send emergency personnel to your location and killing our emergency personnel. Leave the house and unplug your fucking phone and get the hell out of here. And then as soon as all of y'all have confirmed gone, I'm also gone, right? I'm the last one out. I'm closing the door behind me. I'm locking that fucking door. Or see, that is when I would like break down a tree or something and like make it and clear the roads as soon as the last person leaves so that they can't leave. That's what I would do if I was in this situation. But that's not what we want the gameplay loop to feel like. We want it to be people are in the houses and they are calling 911. They aren't leaving. And if so, why aren't we leaving? And why aren't we telling them to leave? And so the idea of I lost someone important to me because they left, I would then say, hey, don't go outside. They're killing you as soon as you leave the house. And then now everyone is stuck in a situation where they would like to leave, but they're scared that opening the door would mean them dying. Right? I would say that there was like a family who tried to leave as soon as the situation was announced, and when they left, the house immediately got killed. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's why I'm thinking it's the first one, right? Or we could even do the second. The first one, let's say the first call that we get that's quote unquote sus, right? From our location or from where our house was, is our first test to see if we understand. It's like the way to test the player to make sure that they understand, like, hey, this is weird. You need to respond to this accordingly, because the tutorial, for the most part, isn't going to have imposters in the tutorial. It would be weird if it was. So we need kind of like a pseudo tutorial after the tutorial, introducing the imposter spread, because the tutorial is just teaching you how to send like the emergency personnel to the locations they need to go, right? And what to send where. The imposter thing is an additional thing that adds an extra spice to the game, right? So what if the first one, kind of taking your idea, Luca, as far as the family leaving, and the first call we get is almost always like a tier 1 difficulty call, and you're like, okay, that's really weird. You send the police accordingly, and it turns out that the person who helped you has been killed and taken over, etc. So then the next spot, whether it be this part, and this part, and we can make all 3 families or something like that, or we could vary it up to make it interesting and have it so that like one of them gets attacked, the other people see what happened, and then they try to leave, and then they get killed. Right? On a related note, what if the end of the game you get a rating for how well you did? Like, would be you did great, F would be... Oh, I was considering on our game design sheet, there is a... I was considering doing like a leaderboard for y'all to be like, okay, how do I compare with my friends? How do I compare with like who was the one who lasted the longest kind of deal? I also wanted the call to vary depending how well you did. So like if you did really poorly, there would be a particular voice line. If you did really well, it would be a voice line. If you were the most, you would be a voice line. Like we could play with that a little bit. I was considering, you know, when I think of like really good, hey Puffbow, when I'm thinking of really good reward, kind of like showing how well you did at the end of the game, I think of like Devil May Cry, right? When I like the rating where it's like you have an S rank where you had like a combos and the amount of things that you hit and your accuracy, like all that kind of stuff. So we could go down the route of like, oh, you got an S rank for going it, but it has a different kind of vibe, because with, at least for Devil May Cry, right, that's very borderline campy action, tongue-in-cheek kind of feel, where then you have this almost like juxtaposition of a hyper super serious kind of like rating system. I mean, it's still kind of goofy, but there'd be 2 secret ranks. Well, I think it would be interesting to have hidden endings. Maybe we have certain endings that only happen if a like a certain location gets taken over or not taken over. Like, we can play with the scenario of events where it's like, if you want a secret ending, you can have this house not be taken over, but have this location be taken over. Like, what if this house got saved and then they went into the school, and now you have a special event where these people are interacting in the school, right? I think that'd be kind of neat. Maybe like if you give everything away to everyone, including doppels, you get a secret end rank, or if send everything to the doppels and not the people, you get another one. I can see that being more of an achievement thing. I don't know if that will be more of a rank thing. Or maybe that could be a title. Maybe we could play with titles. You know what I mean? Where it's just like friend of the imposters or the doppels. Friend of the doppels, which is you make every decision possible to make the doppels doing it. And one thing I have considered, because I honestly think you should consider this whenever making a game as well, is how would speedrunner speedrun the game? And we have a very unique situation here, because this game is all about lasting as long as possible. A speedrunner would want to beat the game by losing as fast as possible. So they have to figure everything out and then lose on purpose by still getting the wrong answer. It's like getting a 0 on a test. You have to try to get a 0 on a test. You know what I mean? So to also kind of play along with that, where if you're trying to lose, to have a little bit of fanciness that we can put in there. We don't need to fix it. We just want to put a little bit of extra spice to, if you're trying to lose, make it so the game's aware you're trying to do that, right? By the way, if you need help advertising the game when it comes out, I can do it an ad. Well, I appreciate that, Luca. I very much appreciate the offer. We'll talk about it once it gets to that point. I am fine with sharing of stuff like that, but if it's going to be more of an official advertising thing, then I would probably, just for my own, how am I going to say this? It's kind of like my own morals in the way that I am going to treat especially business related things. I do not want people helping me in my business without them being properly compensated for it. So I would want to pay you, which means I would need to figure out how to pay you legally. If it was like an actual offer. Because technically, I don't know if I mentioned this to y'all before, technically, I'm an LLC. Or at least I own an LLC called Idealist LLC. So I have made a company for streaming and all that other good stuff. Like, all my accounts are like business accounts. So I need to treat it as such. But as far as like word of mouth stuff, by all means, tell people you feel like it might be interested. To be honest, I don't think you actually could. I have a credit card, but it's savings only since it's not legally an adult yet. Yeah, that's the kind of thing where it's just like, if it was, I think it would be one of those things where, one, I would have to look it up. Where, one, because especially if you're not legally an adult yet, I'm definitely not allowed to pay you. And that also means that I don't think I can have you advertise anything for me. So it would be one of those things where you are welcome to tell word of mouth, and you can do whatever you want, but it's not anything that I am going to request or like an official request for. Does that make any sense? It's a very murky gray area, and because I'm not business savvy, it's very difficult for me to kind of go through that. Yeah, but don't get me wrong, I very much appreciate it, and knowing that y'all support this means everything. So don't feel like you need to go above and beyond, but I very much do appreciate the offer. And know that if I do end up turning it down, it's not because I don't appreciate it, it's because more than likely either I legally can't, or it's so complicated and I can't figure out a way to figure out going through it without shooting myself in the foot, you know? But what am I thinking? What were we talking about? We're talking about doubles, we're talking about that kind of stuff. Everything. See, we were talking about ranks. We were talking about like titles and ranks. We were talking about how speedrunners would want to lose on purpose. So we want to kind of play into the fact of like, there's a speed running for this game is how quickly. So we would have like a lever. So I think the way I would go about it, if we're going to go with the leaderboard idea, which again is something I want to add, but it's technically not the MVP. MVP meaning minimal viable product, which is something you want to aim for when game design, so you don't bloat with a lot of different stuff you want to add into the game. So you want to make the minimal amount that you can put in the game that's still considered the game you want to make. And a leaderboard is pretty fun, and I think it would add a lot to it, but I don't think it's an MVP. But if we were going to go about that route, we would have a leaderboard of the people who lasted the longest. Bill Cipher's now part of the cult. Hell yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully you called him Bill. And then we would have a second leaderboard where the people who would fail the fastest. So you would have two leaderboards, one for lasting the longest and one for lasting the shortest. And the lasting the shortest is the speedrunner leaderboard. I think that would be pretty cool and relatively easy. As long as you make one of them, making the other one is just flipping the script, right? So, kind of going back to this, we are like, this one is the tutorial or like pseudo tutorial of the introduction of things going wrong. They move, then the next house happens, and then the reaction of that is someone tries to leave and then they die. So then we release a thing to the newscasting telling everyone to stay inside and to not leave their house and not try to leave. Maybe what we could do, because you may be asking like, why up here? And the reason I chose this area up here is because when this gets taken over, people can't leave this way because they're just gonna get ambushed. That was my mentality. So maybe what we can do is that there's like a wreck here, and then they started spreading from over here. So maybe over here it's like a giant like semi-truck accident that's blocked the road and is problematic. Because I think this is the gas station, I believe, if I remember correctly. So it could be like they pulled out from the gas station, got ambushed, and now this whole area is blocked, right? That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think this is solved as far as people don't want to leave because people who have left have just simply died from being ambushed immediately. And then the neighbors, so if they left and then got attacked, then this neighbor right here, they would get a knock on their door from these people. Like, they'll be like, hey neighbor, something happened, it was awful. And then so they open the door and then they get killed, right? So they're like, hey, no one go outside, because if you go outside, they're going to kill you, take your voice, and try to go to your neighbors to try to get them to open the door, right? So it's don't leave the house, try to defend yourself, don't let anyone in. I think that makes a lot of sense. And then when this gets taken over, it will start telling people that it's like, oh no, you can totally leave, even though it's not true. Okay, so who asked? I'm just kidding. Who would know? Maybe because I've left that where the accident was open-ended on purpose, because I want people to try to like make their own assumptions as far as where this could have happened and how that she was tagged with it, right? I don't want to think of all the answers on my own, because that's a good way. Other people, 9 times out of 10, you know what, I'm gonna say 8 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, other people are going to come up with better ideas for your story than you are. And that's just because they come from different experiences, they have different mindsets, they have different perspectives, but they're going to come up with something that you're like, oh my God, that's amazing. I wish I thought of that. And so as much as I would like to be like, oh, well, let's plan everything out, I think it would hurt the actual lore overall if I did that. So maybe when the situation gets worse, the TV host gets taken over. Yeah, the plan is that this is a radio station or a TV news anchor location here, and when there's going to be like an emergency broadcast that we are going to tell them to do. And they're also going to be kind of covering as far as like when houses gets taken over, or when things happen, or when the roads close. They're like going against our wishes for trying to keep everything secret and announcing it everywhere, because the main anchor man wants to be like go to like a fancy news network, and it's like this is a story. This is the best thing that could possibly happen to me, not realizing that people were dying. And so when this ends up being attacked, then they get taken over. Essentially the cameras are quote unquote broken, but they're still broadcasting, and they're gonna be saying like really mimicky stuff of like, hey, no, everything is fine. You can let people in. You can go outside. Go ahead. So basically, Puff Pal, this is I'm gonna start from very, very beginning because I don't know at what point you kind of came in on this. I am making a indie horror game where you are a 911 operator, where there are these monsters that have lived and hunted humans for a significantly long time and have lived in caves and are now attacking this town, where what they do is that they stalk them, try to learn their behaviors and language, or at least their speech patterns, ambush and kill them, and then try to trick other people to come to them to then ambush and kill them, right? So in this case, it's the scenario of a house gets attacked by this thing, the person inside gets killed, they will then call 911 pretending to be the person, and then we send the people thinking that someone needs help, and then all those emergency personnel die from it. And then once they stop getting people in, they move on to the next house, and then the next house, and then the next house, and it just chains off of that until they always leave one person at the end, because that's how they find the next group of people, because they're trying to take advantage of the social natures of humans, and something they've been taking advantage of since an unknown amount of time. But it's the reason why we have legends as far as in old wives' tales make the person have trauma. What kind of trauma? You might have. That's not a bad idea. What kind of trauma should we give them? that sounds bad. That sounds bad. That I'm like, ooh, let's give them trauma. Let's go. How to tell who's an imposter? We have 5 different difficulties when it comes to imposters. We have the variable of voice, so the voice is inconsistent. So it's like they're not able to keep the voice accordingly. The second difficulty is the voice is consistent, but the sentence doesn't make a lot of sense. Like, they're able to copy the voice, but they don't understand like what sentence structure is or when to use certain things. Like, you would say like, help me, I'm being attacked, my pizza's almost ready. Like something like that, where you're just like, those two things don't go together. Why? They might have said the same thing at those two things at one point, but you don't put them together, obviously, right? And then the third difficult is pronunciation. So then they'll, like, the sentence structure is fine and their voice is fine, but they pronounce words really weird. Like, it's just really, really off. Almost to the point where it seems like it's almost like a second language kind of deal, where they didn't quite understand the language completely. The fourth difficulty is everything sounds and is put together perfectly fine, but then the context of what they're saying doesn't make sense. Like, oh, sorry, I just got back from getting a suntan and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, right? It's just like, probably not. And then the fifth and last one is knowledge check. And that one is like, you have to know the people and the relationships of the people to know that they are lying, and that they're like, help me, I'm being attacked, my son is being killed, and you know that they don't have a son, right? So we're kind of playing off that. And thank you, Puffal. I'm glad you like it. I'm having a lot of fun with the idea. Congrats on finding your glasses. Do I call you Velma now, Luca? All right, let me catch up. Like getting trauma from the family dying on the Doppels? Yeah. Hell yeah. So were you just being blind the whole time? Or did you have like a backup? But, what was I saying? As far as trauma, because I think we touched on trauma last time. I don't remember if y'all were... Oh no, I'm sorry, Luca. I don't remember if you were here last time when we did game dev stuff, but we talked about trauma kind of specifically about a kid, where a kid wearing plastic glasses, the one I have is metal. Oh, gotcha. So it was kind of like a backup, but it was frustrating. That I feel that. I also have an emergency backup as well, just in case. Where was it, by the way? But no, the trauma that we mentioned before was we would get a call from a little boy telling the 911 operator that his dad killed his mom. And I wanted to kind of play with that in the sense of like, the kid doesn't really understand what's happening. And only thing what he saw was his dad firing a gun into a hallway that he can't see of something that sounded like his mom, right? And then the dad coming to terms of realizing that the mother was dead, ended his own life. And then so the kid, only thing the kid knows is calling 911 when something bad happens. So as far as the kid understands, his dad killed his mom and he doesn't know what to do, right? So if you want to talk about trauma, there is a good example of solid effing trauma. But I also like the idea of things like, we saved this house, for example, right? We saved this house. How is this person going to react now? Yeah, I know, Puffball. And I apologize if any of the scenarios that we put out there, if it's kind of triggering for anything personal, if there is anything that you would like for me to avoid specifically, be sure to do so. And if in the future we end up going over those topics, I'll be sure to give a warning ahead of time. But I don't plan on anything like sexual violence. I'm not planning on doing anything around that nature in this game. So at the very least, I don't think you have to worry about that. But as far as just like people taking advantage of not knowing, like anything that you would kind of think about happening in the movie The Thing is kind of what we're considering here. Whereas far as like, what if you can't trust the people near you as being the people who you think they are? Put a warning before someone plays the game, so if anything triggered, they realize it before they get to it. Oh yeah. I plan on doing that for any of my games. When we get to that point with the stream assets that I'm making, I do plan on having a warning on my streams, like in the corner, for any games that we play that has like arachnophobia or clowns or like things that are phobia stuff, or anything like sexual violence or anything like that. I plan on at least doing enough research before we play horror games to be like, what kind of warnings do I need to put on the top of my screen just in case, for people who don't want to have that kind of interaction or phobias to avoid. At least that particular one. Like suicide, that kind of stresses me out, but if there's a warning beforehand, I'll be fine. Yeah. Unfortunately, I imagine this game is going to have a couple of those. I think I think some people's reactions to this scenario would be to do that. And so we are, at least some of the scenarios that we're going to put out there, that's going to be an option. So that will be one of the warnings then for the game, where it's just like there might be some indications. Yeah. So, but what if it's not just a kid, right? What if it's like, I'm trying to put myself in the mind space of, I'm just watching Twitch, I'm watching a live stream, and then I heard someone trying to break in. I start freaking out a little bit. I get like my bat or my taser or my wasp killer with a lighter, whatever kind of home defense that you have going on. And then you try to get yourself in your room and locked away, and then you hear this thing coming up, and it's starting to sound like someone that you know, but you can tell something is off. And then you call 911. They arrive. The monster leaves from being attacked by the policeman and the other emergency personnel that have arrived. So then, more than likely, you would be like, "Are you real? Are you that thing? Are you real? I don't know if you make it sound like it's multiple people, but prove that you're real." Like, that kind of conversation would probably be difficult to talk someone down. So they would probably have difficulty trusting anyone that they don't see. So they probably wouldn't trust phones anymore. They probably wouldn't trust anyone that they couldn't confirm with their eyes as being a human being. I don't think they would feel safe in their own home anymore. So telling them to stay inside is probably not gonna work. Which is why I thought about like the hardware store thing, where immediately they're just like, I'm gonna border up and make it so my home feels safe again. Because I think that's what most people's reactions to the scenario would be, is I want to feel safe again. That is what they would want to be. So I think there's two ways that people would go about it. They would either want to go and fortify with tools they didn't have previously, or they would want to be escorted to a nearby friend's place by policemen. And then both of these people are now in the same house. You double them up. So you're surrounded by people that you can trust. That's about all the areas I think it is. Oh, okay. Let's look. Let us look. What does that middle one say? Something point? I want to know what you think about the other areas. What did you think this one was? PowerPoint? Oh, no. This is a roundabout. And in the middle is the town statue. It's just something in the middle. A power facility is something that I considered. I haven't 100% gone against it, but I also haven't. I've essentially moved away from it. but I haven't, so I'm not 100% keeping it or moving it away, but I have just started moving away from the idea of manipulation of power, right? Like, these things are smart enough to understand what power is in a power plant and how important that is, because as soon as you lose power, don't you also lose phone service, which means that would kind of defeat the purpose of calls coming in. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of one of those. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, maybe it's like that might be something like over here where it would go out before you get taken over, where it's like near the end game the power would go out, and then you're just like, well, shit. So maybe that, but I think that would be the most I would probably play around with it. So I think, yeah, the people would either fortify or leave. So we would want to fortify, leave, commune, like go to like a friend's house or people that you feel safe. How else, is there anything that y'all can think of as far as a fear response? Your house got broken into. What is the first thing that you would want to do to alleviate that sense of like almost like your house is tainted? Something that you felt secure with was just tainted with the fact that you almost died from this thing that you had no idea what it was. Like, how would you approach then? I don't think you would just go on your day by going to Twitch again. Yeah, grab it, protect yourself. But like, how? Because those usually have locks. It's like, yeah, hide in the bathroom. So would you just hide in the bathroom for the rest of the night? Yeah, policemen have now taken care of the monster. You have now confirmed that the policemen are real people. What do you do after that? What do you do after the policemen have arrived? Your house still has like a window broken open or something, or a door broken open. Like, what do you do? And the policemen tell you, like, you're not the only one. This is happening everywhere. And you can't leave. Call strikes your mom. I mean, mom strength is real, my guy. Mom strength is real. Let's see. But yeah, no, I think it would be these three. They would either want to fortify their area so then they feel like they're safe. Like, never mess with an angry mama. It's for real. For real. Mama Dodo would know. Where do you think she got those scars? I might just start vlogging the last thing I do, inform people, not the town that's what's happening. Ooh. Interesting. What social media outlets were happening in the early aughts? Do we know? Social media in early 2000s. MySpace? Oh. Do you all remember? Maybe this was Facebook. Tumblr? Vine? What? No, there's no way Vine would be happening. There's no fucking way. Was Twitter a thing? When did Twitter become a thing? Hold on, let me go ahead and just switch this to, there we go. And display, there we go. Yeah, well, I pulled it up on Google, so that's why I was like, it said Twitter, and I was like, are we sure about that? Yeah, 2006. That's not early enough. When did Tumblr? Tumblr was 2007. So that was even after Twitter. MySpace was 2003. I think we're getting closer now. Friendster. That's also 2003. Fine was 2013. No. LiveJournal? Did any of y'all, do y'all even know about LiveJournal? I haven't even heard of LiveJournal. Granted, I haven't been huge into the social media space, especially at that early age, let alone now. Was LiveJournal big in the early aughts? Do you know? Service where users can blog, journal, or diary. 1999. That's pretty early. That's kind of right in our wheelhouse. Would it have been popular enough where people would have used it in the early aughts? Because I don't know. Yeah, I think it was the most reliable way to share stuff before YouTube. For millennials who were teenagers in the early aughts, what would you say? AIM! Oh, AIM! When was it created? Well, instant messaging. Because apparently AIM is something else. 1997 for AIM. AIM might be it. I remember AIM. I remember that shit. Everyone used it. I used to talk with my girlfriend in high school on that. Actually came across a little printout of a box of stuff. There was also LiveJournal and Zanga. What the fuck is Zanga? Here, I'll show y'all what I'm looking at. There we go. You could say we're aiming at the right direction. Ratty. Don't come over here with your dad jokes. Get out of here. Boo. Boo. Oh, I hate that. I love it. Knock off Jenga. Teenagers. So I see like AIM was used. LiveJournal and Zanga were post gossip and talk crap. Get off this. Boo, you stay. Only the difference is the kids will recently have the videos and audio that we didn't. Text messages that weren't a thing. We actually had to call people. Texting really wasn't a thing. They took off after 2005. Yeah, I was gonna say like texting probably didn't get huge until later. We used AIM. I think AIM might be it. All right. Let's go ahead and we're gonna add a new one for, what should we call this? This is no, this is still imposter spread. We'll just say like people wanting to write down / message while things are happening utilizing AIM. I think that's I like that. I honestly like that a lot because remember that we have this space, or when we were talking about how you went away from the computer, a different program would pop up. What if what would pop up would be AIM? I vaguely remember them saying like one of those social media ones, I think it might have been Facebook, where you could like message 911. Do y'all remember what I'm talking about? Where it's like, oh, you can message 911 and you would be able to interact with somebody. You didn't need like to text them. I vaguely remember that. This is like an old neuron firing here. But to like then have it so that like things are popping up on the AIM where it's just like bloop, and then it's like, oh, the house being broken into, I'm in the bathroom, so it's like, please send help. We need Clippy to get the computer screen once you pause the game in AFK. Oh gosh. That would be really funny. Can I help you with anything? It's like, yeah. What do I do about imposters? What do I do about the doppelgangers? We found some resources that may help you. That would be really funny. Just like this, just very not okay intrusion of Clippy. It's really funny to me. You know, as I've mentioned this before, like we want to throw more of those. They hire Among Us. I wonder how big the program Clippy is and if it's public use. Because that would be really funny to just throw Clippy into this game and you could just type it. And then just be like, you can ask it questions and things like that. That would be really funny. Oh my gosh. Hey Clippy. What the hell do I do? Honestly, what if we made that as a help? I won't be talking to me since I'm playing Genshin Impact now. Alright. Well, listen, as long as you're still vibing, you're still here, you're still listening, by all means, I don't mind in the slightest. If there's anything that I talk about or you want to mention, you're more than welcome to hop in on at any point. But on a semi-serious note, what if we had something like Clippy that was more of a help thing? Where it's like, I don't know how to interact with this, or I don't know how to do this, and it's just more of like a simplified AI system that recognizes what you want to learn about the game, and then you ask questions about the game, and then it answers accordingly. As far as like what buttons to interact with certain things, what kind of, and then if you ask the right questions, it can help you as far as like the potential spread of things. I think that's kind of cool in its own weird way. I don't know if we're getting too far from the narrative here, but I kind of like the idea. Potential Clippy for to give the player the ability to ask for help without having to rely on like looking at instructions. You know what I mean? Where it's like the game, let's say we have something where it's just like, oh, in case you forget or you need a reminder, there are like a past, not even tutorial, but like instructions of how to interact with things, as well as to like, this is how you do this is how you respond to this. Yeah, I wouldn't say it wouldn't act solely as a tutorial. I still like the idea of the quote-unquote training video as the tutorial, but I do like the idea of Clippy as an additional add-on to it, where if you need to refer back to the tutorial or refer back to information that you were given, and potentially if we could potentially play it in a particular way where we add the secrets of asking Clippy certain things will give you very interesting responses, right? I kind of really like that. That feels natural. Yeah, it feels a lot more natural, and it feels a lot more user interface better. And besides, you know, we get to learn how to do a little bit of AI, and that's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things wrong with AI at the moment. I'm very much on the side of things of creativity not being touched by that kind of shit. But I also understand that AI can be an amazing tool if used the right way, and this feels... it should be making our lives easier. You know what I mean? This feels right. This feels good. And then it also... we don't have to worry about... this isn't AI talking about the voice stuff. This is just AI just to help the player, and I think that's super great. Okay, so we definitely got off topic. So we were talking about how we're going to potentially have people, I'm going to say specifically teenagers. So let's do utilizing AIM. Let's say teenagers utilizing AIM. So I actually have, where is it my brainstorm? Yeah. I actually have like a ratio of the population at one point that I kind of put together. I had like different families and teens and children and all that other kind of shit. So the town has like 16 teenagers. So I like the idea of like certain groups of people having access to certain things. Like the way that they interact with you is a little different. The way adults react to you, the way that seniors react to you, the way that children react to you, having those play a little different adds a good amount of depth without adding a whole lot of complexity. Because it's like, we're not going to mix it where it's just like, oh, some teams do this, but some teams do this, but some teams do this. But instead it's just like, oh, is it a teen? Then more than likely they're not going to call you. They're going to send it. There's going to be an AIM with it. But there is one scenario that I absolutely love. And that is, it's something that we thought of near the beginning. Down here are abandoned buildings. And the call that you get from the abandoned buildings are a group of teenagers that snuck out there to smoke. And one of the teenagers' moms made them bring their younger brother with them to like hang out. You know, the classic, I would almost say like parent trope where it's like, hey, bring your brother. And you're like, Mom, I don't want to bring him. And then the kid's super excited because they get to hang out with older kids. And then they get a call from you saying that there's something happening here and now the brother's missing. They're calling for a missing kid and they're begging you, the person, like the 911 operator, not to call their parents. And I think that's such a terrifying moment, but also such a real moment of a teenager where they brought the brother along. They're like, don't tell mom anything. Don't tell mom I'm smoking or else I'll hit you or something, right? And then like the kid goes missing because of the the doppelgangers are getting them, and they're more worried about getting trouble with their parents than their brother being missing. You know what I mean? Like they're not properly processing everything. Yeah, it's so, I absolutely love that. So I love little interactions like that where we can really build the story and scenario in a particular way, where it's just like, when it gets down here, certain things happen, or if it goes up here, like this is like a park right here. That's like a playground across the thing. One of my, I think my second favorite, or it might be the first favorite, not gonna lie, was that there was gonna be a call that in the park where a ice cream truck crashed into the playground. So you would hear the cops like go up to this playground and you hear the ice cream music just going off in the background as they get more and more creeped out. And I love that mental image of just hearing that ice cream music in the background as the cops become more and more unsettled as they try to figure out what's going on. It kind of gives life outside the police station imposter calling. Exactly. Like, I want these phone calls to really give life of what's really happening. Like, I would say almost more so than the gameplay loop, the way that we paint the picture audio-wise is probably the most important thing in this game. It's what's really going to make or break this game is how well we put together those audio calls coming in the situations that unfold with this game. It would be probably best if we kind of mixed it up a little bit, as far as like we would have a couple special ones throughout, so it's not like every single playground will have that ice cream scene, but maybe something similar of like, it's like a 1 out of 3 chance or something, right? But we can, the design of what the story and narrative system that we want to implement is a complete separate stream, a complete separate thing that we need to tackle eventually. But we're not talking about that as much as I want to talk about it. It's going to be the funnest part of this whole design thing. And I could go literal days talking about of how cool and interesting ideas for the narrative that I can think of. But we can't. We need to stay focused. And by that focus, we need to discuss as far as who knows, and I think we're fine with the 3 here as far as the reaction that people would have would either to fortify their location and make it so they feel safe either through a weapon or otherwise. They would try to leave, but then they can't, and then if they can't, they would want to commune. They would want to go to other people. Like, they would want an escort to then try to go to other locations where they could feel safe. Like, let's say someone lives here, and their parents live here. If this person got broken into, they would just go to their parents' house, 100%, right? They would go home because they would feel the need. They wouldn't feel safe in their own home anymore, right? So we would need to potentially be able to play with that as far as the spread, because the spread of imposters, which is the current system that we're discussing now, is coinciding with the spread of people if we are going to have the people move around, right? So I think this all also leans back to the fact of, like, do we want the roads to be safe, right? If every single ambush, if every single time someone leaves their ambush, then how are they going to the hardware store to get more stuff, right? Is this something that's going to stretch over multiple days? No, it's all one night. All this happens is in one night. One sitting, one night. Things go really bad really quickly. Like, I would say borderline real time. Like, all the calls and everything going through, it's borderline real time. Like, if it takes you 3-4 hours to play this game, it's 3-4 hours in game. Essentially, this starts, you are starting at a night shift. So this is like evening, the sun just went down, and you have until the morning to, like, last as long as possible. But I'm not designing a morning for this game. If there are people who manage to get through like 8-9 hours of this game straight through, that means I designed this game improperly. Like, the goal, I think, for the gameplay loop might be 20-30 minutes. That feels about right. Like, if you try your hardest, 20-30 minutes, and then you can play it again and it will be different. However, I am planning on implementing, like, save states. So if the game crashes or you have to quit or stuff like that, you can just come back. It won't be like you have to restart, because that's lame. Let me finish the who thing before I keep on getting distracted. So who would know? She got into a car crash, came back, friend dies, shit goes wrong. Who would know? Would the government know? I don't think the government would. Well, if they do know, I don't know, that paints it a different way. I don't like the government knowing. But why wouldn't the government know? You know what I mean? Apologize for the Discord ping, by the way. It's not you, it's me. Actually, let's see. What did y'all... alright. I think a secret society, not secret society, that makes it sound Illuminati. I think a bunch of what do you call them? Crap. Bigfoot's one of them. Mothman is one of them. It's like not zoologists. Dang it, what is it called? Ooh. Let's see. Belief in Bigfoot. What is it called? It's gonna drive me nuts. Ah, dang it, I can't think of it. Anyway, cryptozoology. Thank you. Oh my gosh, that was bothering me hard. Appreciate y'all. Cryptids and cryptozoology is exactly it. So I think cryptozoologists would clock this. They would see the patterns and they're like, oh my god, they're coming out of the caves. Like they're very much, this happens to be real. The other shit may or may not be real, but this one is definitely real. So cryptozoologists definitely would clock this. They would definitely be doing that. So how would they react to seeing a town getting flooded with it? I don't think they would put themselves in danger. I think they would try to prevent it. What if they called 911 before this shit happened? What if before this happens, what if you get a weird call from a cryptozoologist that is saying like, they would take photos? They would try. Maybe it's just blurry. Maybe we just hyper blurry it. Because, Puffball, I think you are correct. I think they would take photos. However, I don't want them to take photos. I want these things to not have any indication of what, like, I don't want people to even have an indication of what these things potentially could look like. Like, I don't even want them to assume, like, that they're bipedal, you know? And I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. But I think they would call, right? I think if I was a cryptozoologist and then I was following a trend of where it's like, especially in the idea of like, they always leave one person alive. So there's always a trail. There's almost always a trail for them to follow. And they're like, oh, they originated from me. They followed her here and who was over here, and then, but who brought it there? And then they just kept going back and back and back and back and back until it's just like, oh, they came from the Appalachian caves or something like that. My idea was like a predatory human species, kind of like Neanderthals that survived in caves until modern day. Potentially. But that's kind of the thing, is like, I don't want to confirm or deny any potential idea with it. And the more I give, the less y'all, like people who interact with the lore, would be able to come up with your own versions of it. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, exactly. I love allowing people to get creative with it. And plus, you know, it removes the problem of once you show the creepy thing, it stops being creepy. You know what I mean? If we never show it, we don't lose it. Simple as that. Plus, you know, then we don't gotta design a monster, even though that's one of my favorite things to ever do. Draw their own ideas. Exactly, Starbeast. Exactly. So, I think they would call. I think they would get a weird call. They would see the trail of it happening. They would have linked to here, to her, and then they would call them and be like, you are in danger. Because what if, okay, we're kind of going back a little bit towards the idea that one of y'all had, which was this was the last town. You know what I mean? Right? where it's like, oh, this is the last town in the area. So what if instead of this being the last town, what if this was multiple different things coming in from different angles at different, that just so happened to, no, I immediately disagree with what I just said. No. Because I'm trying to think, it's like, well, they would want to call, but how would they predict the movement? How would they know that she was the one that would have been the next location? Because she survived an accident? What accident did she survive that would have flagged her as the hunted? Was the old accident related to them in some way? That she was the only survival of, right? And then if that's the case, what would she have been the survivor of that would have caused a mass death that would have looked like it would have been something else, but it turned out to be an attack of these things that even she didn't even realize was one of those things, right? I'm gonna go now. I'll be back after a quick nap. All right, Luca, enjoy your nap. Thanks for vibing. I'm still good for another couple hours, so maybe I'll see you before we stop. How would they know? Maybe they don't. Maybe they're guessing. Because what if they're calling multiple places? Maybe they, like, wherever they were. So let's say this is where they got, like, where the accident happened. She gets moved to the other town. But then there's like a handful of other people that also got into different locations. And then they would maybe call all these locations and be like, hey, you might be in trouble. Actually, that's not terrible. I was gonna say no, but technically that does leave it open for a potential sequel, right? It's like something happened here that no one knows about. You don't know any details. I'm not giving you any details, etc. I don't even know what the accident is. Something happened here. She got moved back to where she lived. She gets warned ahead of time that there's she might be one of the, like, they might have followed you. Like, that might be the call. The call that she could get is, I think they might have followed you. And she's just like, what? What are you talking about? Who are you? Why are you calling me? What the hell's going on? Right? And then, shit hits the fan. But if it turns out that there is potential others, then the sequel could potentially be these other locations that also stemmed from this accident. Because I was planning on it being like, she was going to be the last survivor regardless, and then she was going to move to a new location. But with the exception of she actually knows what's going on now. Right? But that's kind of interesting. I'm not in love with it, but I think it's interesting. I think it's something that we can adjust. So I think the answer of who is cryptozoologists. And I think the way they would try to help is... How far back is this? Okay, good. Cryptozoologists. Whatever. I can't write with a mouse. Are you kidding me? So with cryptozoologists being the ones that know about the situation, they would try to call ahead of time to try to be like, hey, shit's hit the fan. I'm gonna undo this again. Let's see if I can get rid of that check mark. No. Yeah. Dang it. Leave and then commune. And then crypto. Okay. So I don't think the government takes it seriously. I don't think the forest area will take it seriously. Crypto heads definitely would take it seriously. I think nearby, like, forest rangers do have an inclination that this stuff happens, and they have systems in place to answer people's questions about, and then also have rules against. Like, the forests in the area, they'll be like, if you do not see the person, can they defend themselves? They can defend themselves, but as far as the game is going to be considered, they cannot. Oh, well, no. Like, sometimes can they defend themselves, or you have the chance to warn them? No. I think because of the way that they are ambushed, the way that they ambush, it makes it really, really difficult to defend yourself against them. You need multiple people, which is why the current resource system that I have in mind is that we send multiple policemen to that location, and then that gets rid of them for that location, at least via temporarily. There aren't any situations where these things die. They are essentially like shooed. They are spooked away, but they do not die. They just move on to the next one and then may turn it back if necessary as well. There is definitely like a certain amount of time before the phone call happens. Like, you see they are heading in a pattern and you can call them, ending the day, etc. Well, this is all in one day, by the way. But as far as call them ahead of time, no, because you don't know. And I'm gonna make it so you don't know. Like, the potential options here, where it's just like 1, 2, or 3, and we were talking about it a little earlier, but basically it's a likely chance of things happening depending on the distance from the location, and the percent chance of it happening within that distance is depending on the difficulty of that particular creature. So you don't really know. There is sort of like a warning. We are planning on having it so that the emergency broadcast system is letting people know about what not to do and what to do. So people have been warned accordingly, and we are going to have people who disregard that warning, especially up here. Since these are like the older houses, there's going to be older individuals in this location. They are going to have a more likely chance of disregarding the emergency broadcast telling them to like what to do and what not to do. Some of them will not take it kindly. I'm definitely going to have like stubborn old man stereotype in one of these houses, and I'm also going to have talkative old woman who called 911 to spill the tea on people, but also gives you really good information against tier 5 difficulty people if you actually pay attention to it. So he's like, why don't they just hang out in an emergency bunker or get them guns since it's America? I think, well, that's why, did I end up including the gun store? Let's see. I honestly don't remember. I know that was one that I was considering. No. We did not end up including a gun store. There is a liquor store, though. As far as potential with guns and being able to defend yourself with it, the way that it is they do have guns, but you are in a house, and these are ambush predators. Like, they are essentially on you before you can get a good line of sight on these things. Their whole strategy is manipulating audio and voices. So like Alien. Yeah. You can think of it like Alien. Where it's like, why didn't the guns work on Alien? It's like, well, because by the time you saw them, they were pouncing on you. Like that. It's kind of like that. I don't think I'm going to have them like vent. Because I don't know how I feel about calling these things imposters and then they go into vents. I feel like at that point, I'm just copying. You know what I mean? I'm going to see Alien Romulus. Hell yeah! I really did like that movie, by the way. So I hope you enjoy it. So yeah, it's kind of like Alien. It doesn't have any of the acid blood or anything like that. For all y'all are concerned, you're not going to get any information with these things. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. I'm just going to tell you that I liked it. That's the end of it. So do we want... So we were talking about how I liked the idea of the percentage based on area, and that depending on the difficulty does that, because looking at it from the lens of a realistic point of view, difficulty tweaking would be more of this is a different mimic versus the same mimic that's now somehow dumber for whatever reason or smarter for whatever reason. Also, you have to have imposter joke in the game, like young gamers saying that they are like imposters from Among Us. We definitely do, but we have to do it somewhat not cringy. We just have to. I don't know if I would be able to survive. Like, to be able to be like, it's coming out of the vents. That's kind of sus. Oh, like I would want to die if I put that in the game. Time traveler gamer. Yeah, really, for real. Like, there's no Among Us in early aughts, even though it'd probably do really well. But yeah, you're not wrong, especially the amount of imposter like adjacent things that are kind of happening. We will at least have to address the elephant in the room. Save the inventor of Among Us. Like at the end of the game, it's just kind of like one of those things where it's just like, this person went to do this later in life, and it's like a black and white screen, and it's like, this person went to go invent Among Us. Inspired from the events that have happened in this location. That would be really funny, actually. Oh my gosh. It's canon lore that the person who made Among Us survived this scenario. Is really funny. All right. But yeah, so trying to decide difficulty curve, if we want to make it so that the difficulty curve is specific to an entity versus variability based on how well the player is doing. It also makes it difficult of like, how would we even begin the game with the difficulty? Would it be random? If it's random, that would kind of suck. Imagine a first person's experience with the game and they're not really familiar with it, and the game starts off with a tier 5 difficult creature that just steamrolls the entire play. That would not be a fun experience. So we have two problems. We want difficulty to be variable. Variable due to actions. Imagine you put a random people in chat in the game as ref. I mean, to be honest, like, what I was planning on doing is, when the game was made, it was going to be, y'all were going to be in the special thanks in the game, in the credits. It'd be special thanks to these people and all my streamer people who had, you know, helped and gave feedback and ideas, and yeah, of course, because y'all deserve a call out, because y'all are helping, y'all are giving feedback, you're all kind of thinking through this with me. Like, at the very least, I can give y'all a special thanks and shout out. I'm in the credits of a video game. I don't want to brag, but of course, I try to. Bro, I'm a scientist. I credit my sources with AMA format. That's been instilled in my instincts. So, of course, like, y'all didn't think I was just gonna do it without giving any kind of mention, y'all, did you? As I said, I don't take things for free from y'all. You give me effort that helps me make things. I'm gonna call you out on it in a positive way. So once we get to that point where we're actually making the credits, which will be like the last part of the game, we'll be doing a roll call where everyone wants to put stuff in there. And then we'll decide if, like, how you would want to be referred to. Either it would probably like screen name hyphen and then whatever name you would prefer to give. If you would like to keep it screen name or real name or anything like that. You could take inspiration from the remaster of the Thing game they are making. What? They're making a remaster of the Thing? Excuse me? Hold on 1 second. The Thing game. Thing remastered video game trailer? Came out 3 months ago? Oh. Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we could definitely take a look at it. Apparently there was a 2002 one? Honestly, I'm not surprised, but I'm also surprised. But yeah, no, I mean, I plan to take inspiration from as many different things as possible. I've taken inspirations from FNAF as far as the interactions with the different kind of tools. I'm taking inspiration from, like, Not My Neighbor as far as, like, kind of like hints to give the player where it doesn't overwhelm them as far as the different stuff to, like, pay attention to. Like, making games, doing anything creative. One of the most important steps is proper resource gathering. Kind of like look around, absorb as much different kind of like creative things that's inspired you, that kind of wants to push the things forward in a particular direction, and then use that. All right, so we have the difference. We have a problem. What's up? Why are you saying hello, Starbeast? What's going on? Oh, right, FNAF. Hello. Good. 1987. The Bite of 87? That would be pretty funny. There might be some, like, I do want some level of reference of things that have inspired this game. So I'm gonna want the Thing reference somewhere, a FNAF reference somewhere. Yeah, Phone Guy. Maybe one of the phone calls is just Phone Guy. Hello. I lost my hearing aid. Hello. hello. And it's just like, ugh, and then just hang up. And then you get the mimic version of that. So it's all weird. Oh gosh. All right. So we have a problem. We want different difficulty variability due to someone's actions, but we also want difficulty specific per mimic, which don't go together. We have to either find a compromise between the two, or we need to find bad endings. You hang up on everybody. There is a turtle ending. That's how I described it. It's where you don't help anyone, but you have all the resources because you didn't lose anything. There is a specific ending for that, which is you hear gunfire and people dying in the background as they slowly encroach on your building until they overwhelm them and you're the last one alive. Yeah. There is a selfish ending where you just don't help anybody, but you keep all the resources. Because I had to think about all the different ways that people could play the game. Right? We have people that try to do what they're supposed to do, and then people that don't do what they're supposed to do, and how they would go about doing that. Well, what are the possible ways to going through it? And either we design so that they can't do that, or we have the game recognize what they're doing and respond accordingly. And I like the second one more, because I think people really respond to the game understanding that they did something different. That kind of feedback feels really good, where you're just like, I'm just gonna be all selfish. Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna be all selfish, and then it's just like, and then the game's just like, hey, you selfish son of a bitch. What are you doing? And it's just like, oh no, it knows. There's also gonna be people who want to get all the endings. Exactly. That's replayability, baby. Let's go. We need to get past that 2-hour mark so we don't get immediately money backed. Imagine one where you randomly just give away resources, lazily saying yes. We could potentially do one where it's like yes man, where you send everyone everywhere all the time and you never send not anything. That would be pretty funny. We would put a picture of the Fallout guy, the Fallout yes man robot. Just be like, yes man. That would be kind of funny. We don't want to have too many different potential endings, because I don't want people to just play through the game just to only get the endings. I would much rather just kind of pick stuff where it's like natural, different play styles just kind of showed up. Slot lazy ending is you just sleep and ignore. Sleep and ignore, huh? I mean, that's pretty much the same as selfish. It's the don't answer the call. You just don't answer anything. Ending called making history. Well, bold of you to assume that anyone's going to survive the situation. Different variable due to actions, different per mimic. How are we going to address that? How are we going to address that we want difficulty to vary depending on your achievements, so it gets easier the more you struggle and gets harder the more you succeed? Because I love that difficulty curve. I love that. It will probably need a good amount of tweaking, but if we can get it right, it's not good. We're going to keep on hitting that sweet spot of like, you're still trying, right? I can imagine you don't pick up calls as an ending. But yeah, that's a selfish ending. The selfish ending where you keep all your resources and don't pick up a certain amount if you fall asleep. Nah, we ain't falling asleep. There's no way. I'm not gonna go about doing that. You are a 911 operator. You ain't falling asleep on the job. Nah. I do plan on having a little squeaky rubber dodo though on the desk. I might have a little achievement where you honk the nose like 10 times or something like that. Anyway, I need to move away from achievements. That is so late in the process. I can't think of that now. Achievements is like one of the last things that you should do. All right, okay. Because then we have all the we would have developed all the different things you could do, and then we make achievements accordingly. Or yeah, and potentially titles, because that's also kind of fun. I mean, what we could do. I mean, what would solve both of these problems would be if we have more monsters, right? Because then you would have more variable due to actions. So if you got it, so let's say there's a tier 3 and then you do well, then that guy moves on, that guy runs off, and then at another point another monster shows up, but it's a tier 4 monster. But that's a completely separate monster. It has nothing to do with that. But then that would be situations where it's like, oh, it should be the next one here, but it's not. It showed up over here, and that's because it's a different guy that just decided to show up. And then it's going to feel random. It's going to feel frustrating. Just because you do well, maybe we can do it so it's like a certain amount of times you do well or do poorly, then the difficulty skews versus like a per situation base, where it's like you go from tier 3, then tier 4, then back to tier 3, then do it to tier 2. But instead it's like you get it right 3 times, it goes up a notch. And then you get it right a few times, then you go up another notch, right? Like, how do we want the difficulty curve to skew? So maybe we need to answer this question a little more before we can answer this question, which is, how do we want the actions to vary the difficulty? Right? And so, what we could do is, what do you think, 3? Maybe 2 to 5? Should we? I feel like we should do a range. We don't want to be predictable, because again, we want to go in between complete predictability, which is boring, and complete chaos, which is frustrating. So we want controlled chaos. So if the difficulty is variable, and we want the variable to depend on actions being correct or not correct, how many times does the player need to be correct or not correct for the difficulty to respond in kind? And do we ever adjust it outside of those parameters? So a good example that I'm thinking of right now is, let's say you played the game for like 2 hours, right? You're getting used to it, you like what you're doing, the game is fun, but you gotta go to bed, and you're at like difficulty 4, right? Like, things are hard. And then you go to sleep. But then you play like the new Elden Ring DLC for like a week or like a month, because it's Elden Ring DLC, right? So then it was like, you know what, I had a lot of fun with that game, I'm gonna go play this game again. So you pick up the game again, except now they're thinking that you're difficulty 4 good, and you're like, bro, I just got back, what the heck are you talking about? So should we have like a difficulty dip when you quit the game? But then if we have a difficulty dip when we quit the game, then a strat, in order to make the game as easy as possible, is that once things get difficult, you just quit the game and then start it again. And then that'll keep your difficulty low. That is abusable. And I'd rather avoid at least abusable like scenarios that I can predict, that I can consider. I'm certainly not omnipotent present. Omni. Greater only survivor ending. Maybe after not playing for at least a day. Maybe. Do y'all feel like it's a good idea that if you don't play for a certain amount of time, the difficulty decreases? Or is that too, like... I don't know. I was gonna say accusatory. That's not what I was trying to say. That belittles you. Does that belittle you to be like, just because I didn't play a game for a day doesn't mean that I'm bad at it? You know what I mean? Where the game's just like, do you want to lower the skill, the difficulty level of just scrutiny? At least a day is not bad. But then we would have to find a way to determine, we would need to implement in code how it would know that it's been a day. And also, even if it's been a day, that's still abusable. Then you would just set your clock back a day on your computer or Switch or whatever we're going to put this on. And then it'll be like, there you go, it's been a day. Or maybe we shouldn't care about it. People are going to abuse it. People are going to abuse it. I think we need to keep the amount of times it takes to switch variable. I'm thinking like 2 to 5. 2 to 5 times correct / incorrect in a row. Well, here's another one though, right? Do we want all of them? Oh man. I'm starting to get less and less on this one the more I think about it, because you don't want all of them to be the same difficulty all the time. Like, figure how boring that would be. You get a tier 1, and then a tier 1, and then a tier 1, and then a tier 2, and then a tier 2, and then a tier 2, and then a tier 3. And then you keep on getting tier 3s for a while because you would kind of go, you would win a couple, and then you lose a couple, but you wouldn't really do a whole lot in a row. And then you would go through that way. I would much rather it be like there's a tier 1, and then a tier 3, and then a tier 5 just to like F with you, and then like there's a tier 2, and then a tier 4. Like there's a lot more kind of random to it. So maybe, because I like the idea of mixing it up as far as what kind of calls come through that are actually imposter stuff, where then it goes really high suddenly. It spikes to a 5, but because you haven't come across a 5 before, you don't recognize it, and then you lose that house, and you're like, wait, how did I lose that house? There was no inclination from what I've seen. And then you learn about like the knowledge check of a tier 5, right? And but if we do go it that way, it feels better in my brain design-wise to have it more random. But then how are we going to explain why the mimic suddenly decides to be crap or good? Because if it's the same mimic, because we have two different systems coming in place, right? We have the spread, the potential spread of the mimic happening, right? We have this system going on. And then at the same time, we have the difficulty of the calls coming in to determine whether or not it's actually them. So we have two separate systems that are playing with each other, and we need to make sure they play nice. So if it's going to be one thing with multiple different things, and then you come across it, and it could be random, different kind of difficulties, why is the same creature suddenly being different? Why is it messing up words that it understood before? Why is it messing up voices that it understood well before? Maybe we need to look back at what these things are. So these things, they had a particular process. They have different phases. They have the stalking phase, they have the ambush phase, they have the mimic phase. And then it kind of goes back to the stalking phase after that's done. So they stalk the person that they are trying to take over, learn their behaviors, learn the language, learn their voice. Then they ambush and kill them. Then they take what they've learned and apply it. And then the better they are at it, the more that they can bring more and more people in. And then they keep on bringing as many people in as possible, killing them, ambushing them, until they deem as like the last person. Or they'll just go nearby to another person that they find available, right? And then they'll start the stalking process all over again. So if I was a monster, if I was in, or if there was a creature in real life that did that, and there was variability in its ability to be able to copy. So if basically the mimic phase is the end of those two first phases, right? So if something happened in the third phase or if the third phase is sloppy, then that would imply that there was something that happened in the first and second phase, right? Which means the stalking might have not have been as well, or the ambush may not have gone as well. Well, I don't think the ambush would have, just because you ambush well versus not well, I don't think is going to mess with its ability to mimic, right? If anything, like, what if the ambush didn't go well and it got hurt? I don't think that would have stopped it from being able to mimic as well. If anything, it may help it sound like it's in pain, right? Where it's just like, oh man, it attacked me and it ran off or something like that, right? Oh, this might actually go up to what Star Beast was talking about. If I want to use the quotes of I fought it off, then I need to have some of these people be able to fight it off by themselves. And then they're just like, called 911, they broke in, but I chased it away. But you have to figure out if they are the mimic saying that they chased it away, or if they're a real person saying they chased it away. I think that's really interesting. So I guess to kind of go back to what you were saying, Star Beast, I think some of these people actually do chase them away. I think some of them do fight back, either by gun or otherwise. Because that creates a handful of really interesting situations that the player has to decide that the person calling 911 saying they chased away the monster is in fact the monster or a person. Do you believe them or do you not believe them? And I think that's really interesting. Okay. So let me write that down then, because I have a feeling I'm going to not remember that. So, imposter system. People can sometimes defend themselves. In doing so, the player must decide to believe that person is real when they call. Okay. And then let's see. Correct, incorrect in a row. Well, oh yeah, we were talking about mimics and the ability to what would stop it from doing as well? I guess it would be the stalking phase, right? If you, that is their learning phase. That is what they use to determine. In order to get a good mimic, you have to have a good stalking. In order to know how to speak like them, how to act like them, to understand the words that are coming out of their mouth, at least fundamentally, you need to be able to you need to be able to stalk them long enough to be able to absorb it. And interestingly enough, the more you do it, the better you get at it. Which also kind of goes to what you guys were talking about before as well, which is the ability that the things becoming higher and higher stakes later in the game. These things, even though being chased away, their difficulty is becoming more and more consistently better and better because they have now stalked multiple different kinds of people, and thus they're putting everything together in their heads oh, I don't need to learn sentence structure anymore all that much. I kind of understand what words belong where now. And they slowly get better and better and better. And then instead of 1 through 3 difficulties, you're now dealing with 2 through 4. And then eventually 3 through 5. And then 4 and 5s. And then suddenly you're full of things that every single person you talk to sound absolutely like a person and not a monster anymore, right? It just gets slowly more and it becomes more and more narrow. The difficulty naturally slides up as the game progresses until it's almost impossible to tell anymore. I think that's pretty interesting. So, I guess with the knowledge that the stalking phase was poor and it doesn't do as good as a job as it would have otherwise done, is that something that we, the player, can manipulate or interpret or mess around with to make it so that they have a poor thing? Is it more of a time advancement where the longer it is between the two situations, the more difficult the call is going to get because it had more time to stalk? Versus if it immediately starts attacking something else, you know what I mean? Then it's less. All right. Let me know if y'all can think of any potential add-ons or ideas. I am going to just run to the bathroom real quick, but be sure, this is your reminder to stay hydrated. Be right back. All right, I'm back. Did you miss me? All right. Okie dokie. Now, let us continue. So, let's see here. Okay. Let's see. It would be that different variable due to actions, different per mimic. So instead of 2 to 5 correct in a row, we're going to completely ignore that. Let's do variable within 3 stages. Progresses. Progresses. That's progresses. Progresses as time moves on. Yeah. Yeah. I think I'll do that. All right. Okay. So, with that in mind, so the natural so to kind of summarize everything for the imposter system, we have a more likely interaction between closer and farther away things. It is a much more likely chance it's going to be closer versus longer versus longer. The smarter it is, the more it tries to play around it with your assumptions. It goes between like 1 and 3. I think the first one will almost always be a tier 1. Just so that people aren't immediately thrown into a tier 3 off the rip. Maybe after the pseudo tutorial, it's kind of like, who cares? Just 1 through 3, doesn't really matter, etc. And then, as you continue to get it right, as you continue to do it wrong, they are getting better as time moves forward. And do we also want the ones, because so I'm not going to confirm or deny how many I want there to be. I think I want to give the implication that there's definitely more than one, but not the indication of how many more than one. So like it could come up from up here, it could come from down here, it could, I guess those 2 spots really. And then I also have like false things like the trails and things of that nature where it seems like it would be linked but they're not linked kind of deal. Like where there could be like a little trail from the forest that leads over there, or there could be like a trail that kind of goes down the middle here. And anyway, so there's definitely be more than one. I think the more than one things coming in is more of a time thing than anything. I think things slowly getting difficult on their own is fine. I don't think moving forward with the idea that it's due to actions, I think we might be moving away from. I don't think we're going to move forward with actions. I think it's just difficulty is variable, and if you get it right, you get it right. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. And you're gonna learn. All right. So let's see. So let's put all that in. So that's the imposter system. Imposter system. It is a system where we start on the top left house, start house. Player will get a call from that location as an introduction to the imposter system. Always tier 1. Then the likelihood, the spread of the imposter system will be a chance based on proximity that is much more likely for closer houses, closer locations versus farther versus farther, and is further modified through difficulty tiers with higher tiers, giving more weight to farther locations. Yeah. Hell yeah. I think that's good enough. Oh, no, we need one more. Additional imposters are added at higher difficulty spreads as the game goes on. I don't think I want it at specific times. A part of me wants to, but that's really predictable. Difficulty tiers will be variable between 3 tiers: 1 to 3, 2 to 4, and 3 to 5. Eventually narrowing the tiers until only tier 5 remains. So it starts like 1 to 3, and then it continues, it like kind of goes all the way up to like 2 to 4, and then 3 to 5, but then it goes from 4 to 5. It stops going to 3s now, and then only 5s. But additional imposters are added at higher difficulty spread as the game goes on, so more people, the different ones would come, but they are not the same kind of tier spread than the first one. So the first one could be from a 3 to 5, but the new one could be a 2 to 4, right? And then so it kind of reintroduces lower tiers potentially to the equation, and it just keeps on adding more and more to it. As far as the rate of additional imposters, I think we're not going to be able to know that unless we do some play testing. I really don't. I think that's as much as we can do for the imposter system today. I think that might be it. I think we got it. I think that makes a lot of sense. We would need to start coding it and everything, and then filling it out, trying it out. But we're not there yet. All right. Let's see here. Oop. Okay. Let's go back to ya. So we got our map. Clicked on computer. You see how it's like a click on computer right now? Okie dokie. Let's switch this back to our main camera. Numpad, radio. Where did the computer go? Where are you? Computer. Hey. Hey, you. Hey. Am I blind? Am I that tired? There it is. Here it is. The main camera. That's on. Okay. There we go. Right? It's like, bro, you're on your computer. What are you talking about? Okay. So we clicked on computer, radio, phone, printer, numpad, and we made the numpad last time, didn't we? We made the numpad, and here's the buttons for that numpad. Oh. And that looks pretty decent overall. That's pretty good. So now we need to find the code, or a good kind of like camera switching code for the camera. Because right now we just have clicked computer. All right, thanks Ratty, thanks for joining us. Hopefully I'll see y'all tomorrow, where I go absolutely buck wild in Satisfactory. Cause damn, am I gonna go buck wild in Satisfactory? Mm-hmm. And then let's see. So we want when action is just pressed. Right now we have print, but we want to create a variable tween. So let's go ahead and try this. So we want variable tween equals get tree dot create tween. Okay. Now, this is where I'm often lost. So this one is the await tween finished. Oh, that's tween dot finished. Excuse me. And then we want to get, we need to move one from one camera to another camera. That's what we want. So let's see here. Where is my... Let's just make a new one. We'll do Godot, moving from one camera to another. Ooh, okay. And then now, there we go. Oop. All right. Let's see. Camera switching.
In this tutorial, I'm showing you how to create a smooth camera transition system, both for 2D and 3D. With that, you can easily switch from two cameras seamlessly. Let's get started. All right,
see you, Starbeast.
First of all,
or wait, no. Are you saying see you, the Ratty?
From one camera to another, you can simply use the current.
I thought you were also saying see you to me. I was like, wow. I'm sorry, game development's so boring, y'all. Well, I still hope y'all are vibing and having a good time, though. And let's see.
On the camera, but by doing that, you instantly switch from one to another. While this might be good in some situations, it can be disorienting in others. So, if you want to transition from one camera to another, you would need to move.
This guy's editing is actually pretty good.
To the second location, and then when the position match, switch to the current camera. While we could do it that way, we would need to add this behavior to every camera, making them capable of moving to another camera's position and then coming back to their position. My solution is to have another global camera that we use only for switching. That way, we don't need to touch our cameras, and we can just call this global camera when needed. So let's build this solution. First,
ooh, okay. All right. So we already kind of have that. So I guess what we could do is have a global camera, and then we'll have a global camera, and then with the current camera that we have on right now, the let's switch to it. So we have the 3D camera, which is the camera of the character, right? That's the character, this is the camera. You don't see it, but there it is. That's what the camera is. So now what we're gonna do is that we're just gonna make another camera called the main camera. Well, not the main camera, but like maybe character camera we can call. And then we'll have the same thing where Well, we really don't do anything else with the phone camera. Well, I mean, we call phone camera and stuff here, but we will do that. So what we'll do is that we'll add another camera. And we'll name this one character. That's how I spell character. Camera. Let me. Where's my Google? Where's my spell check? Character. Yeah. Okay. Good. Okay. Character camera. We have that good to go, and that's just. Honestly, we'll probably put it with the character. Where are you? Where's the character? There's the player. Okay. Then we'll do player camera instead of character camera. Player. All right. Here we go. Player camera. So I'm hearing weird noises. Are they spraying windows? No. Weird. I had my headphones on, so I heard it like very little. All right, player camera. So we're gonna take the main camera, and we're going to take this position. Where's my snip? Where's my snipping tool? We're gonna take the transform of this, and we're gonna do the same here. Player camera, transform. So it's negative 0.689, 1.59, and then negative 90. That looks good to me. Let's test it. Boop. Yep. Looks good to me. So then we take the main camera and we're just gonna like just put it like up here. Excellent. So the main camera, I don't think I'm going to rename, because that is essentially the main camera, right? All right, so let's go ahead and move back. All right.
I'm creating a new scene called Camera Transition. I'm saving it to a folder I called Autoload. I do that to differentiate scenes that are added as Autoload. In Project Settings, under Autoload, I select the newly created scene path and I use the automatically generated name Camera.
Okay, this guy's getting a like off the rip. It's the fact that he talked about autoloading is huge. You have no idea how long it took me to actually find anyone talking about the autoload.
Transition. Now that we've done that, we can call camera transition from anywhere. This is going to be used to call a function to transition between two cameras. Before writing that function, let's add cameras to the scene. I add a camera 2D and a camera to do both 2D and 3D. I also add a tween to handle the smooth movement transition. I'm still using a tween node to be back.
Oh, you could do a tween like out here? I didn't even know that.
But note that with Godot 3.5, you can now use scene tree tween if you prefer. Let's write the transition functions. To make things simpler for this tutorial, I'm separating the 2D and 3D into two functions, but as you will see, they share a lot of code, so you could do a unique function.
Let's see if we can kind of translate this a little bit, yeah? So, transition camera from camera to camera, duration... duration float 1.0 void. I'm not sure what the void is. Maybe it's to once it gets there it stops, like don't move any forward anymore. If transitioning, return, copy the parameters of the first camera. Camera 3d.fav from fav, camera 3d.colmask from colmask. I don't know what fav or colmask is. Move our transition camera to the first camera position. Global transform from global transform. Oh. We're essentially turning camera 3D to from. And maybe a 2? Like a 2 and a from? Make your current transition camera 3D current equals true, transitioning equals 2. Move to the second camera while also adjusting the parameters match the second camera. Remove all, tween. Interpolate property, camera 3D, global transform, camera 3D dot global transform. Camera 3D global transform, comma, to global transform? Where did we define to? Maybe that's something that the engine already understands. Duration, tween, trans, cubic, tween, trans, ease and out. Camera FOV. Got you. So the global transform in this case. FOV, camera FOV, to FOV. Duration, tween, start. Wait for the tween to complete. Yield, tween, tweet all completed. Make current true, transitioning false. The to current, the current is the check mark box that we do. Okay, all right.
For both, it's up to you. I created a transition camera to the function that takes 3 arguments. From and to are the cameras you want to use. You switch from the camera to the second one. Duration.
Oh, I didn't realize, I didn't see the from and to here. Oh, that's okay.
Is the time the transition will take. I put a default value of 1. First, we copy the parameters of the first camera, from, to our transition camera, zoom, offset, and light mask. Then we make sure our transition camera is at the same spot and angle as the first camera using the global transform. Now we're ready to use the transition camera by putting current to true. We're going to move our transition camera from the first camera's position to the second camera's position. For that, I used the tween we added earlier. I tweened the property global transform to move the camera, and I also tweened the properties zoom and offset to smoothly transition from the first camera to the second. Don't forget to call tween.start. Then we wait for the tween to be finished using yield and waiting for the tween all completed signal, after which we can switch to the second camera, putting its current property to true. If you don't want to use yield for whatever reason, you could just connect the tween all completed signal of the tween to your script and then put current to true there. With that, we can now easily transition from one camera to another. We simply call camera transition dot transition camera 2D, passing the cameras we want to use. And as you can see in this 2D example, it moves smoothly from one to another. Now we can do the same thing for 3D. As I told you, it's very similar, so I'm creating a function called transition camera 3D that takes the same 3 arguments as before, but the camera 2D are now camera. We use exactly the same steps as before, so I won't go in details over them. The main difference is that we don't copy the same parameters as in 2D. In 3D, we copy the FOV and the call mask, then we repeat the same steps. As you can see in the 3D example,
It looks like they had a little bit of issue here. Create tween, parallel true, tweets in and out. 3D, wait for the tween to complete. Let's see what they said. Measure 3.5 in the scene tree and added 3.5. For me, sadly. Do you have any error? Why? Is your camera a variable or a built-in type? Camera is no longer a type, replaced by camera 3D instead of 2. Tween is no longer a node. Now will be a miscellaneous type, probably related to 1.
example, we have a smooth transition from one camera to another.
Hey Glitch, what's
Note
up?
that the path
How you
the
doing?
transition camera is taking is the shortest path between the 2 cameras. If there's a wall in between the 2, you'll go right through it. If you need something more complex, you might have to use another technique. I can think of
We're learning pretty good. We're learning tweens to transition between 2 cameras. So I'm watching a tutorial now to try to get a good bearing on what code I should use for that.
Using pathfinding to go only where a player could go, or you could define a path between the two cameras using a path 2D or a path 3D node. But this is out of this video.
Hopefully you're having a good Monday so far, though.
I turned a little camera transition scene into an add-on. You can download the add-on and see.
All right, okay, let's take a look at it. So this is what we are seeing here. Let's go ahead and take a snip of this.
Camera 3D that takes the same 3 arguments as before.
Let's make sure that there's no more that we missed.
As you can see,
doesn't look like it. Okay. And I have, yeah. I spent the last good amount of time going over and working on the Imposter spread system. Something that I shouldn't be tackling until I'm done with the cameras, but I was like really wanted to get into it. So my brain at the moment was essentially firing for 2 hours straight, and my brain's now a little bit mushy. So if I sound a little tired, I apologize. I have my caffeine, but it doesn't want to work. But let's see if we can try to get this. What I will say actually is the camera here, 1.59. Let's switch this back to 1.59 because though we're gonna be, so here's the thing, we're currently trying to make the different cameras go to different locations, right? Because we have a camera for each one of these objects and we want to transition from the main camera to each of those different cameras. But what we just watched was essentially there was a completely different camera, and we already had a camera specifically for the character to view in, and then it just moved it back and forth. So then it recognizes that's where it needs to be, right? It's almost like a stand-in camera in a way. It doesn't really matter. But we don't want it just out in the open randomly. We want it where our character camera is, and it just so happens to be in the same location, right? It's a little redundant, but at the same time, we don't want this just to be like a transition kind of deal. We want it to be also the first thing the player interacts with in the game, right? So let's see here. Let's go ahead and do this as well. Variable, and we'll do that's phone camera. This is player camera. And we name it main camera. I don't think I did main camera here. I think it's just player camera. I don't think this means anything right now. Shouldn't this be like office? Shouldn't it be this like this? Well, no errors came up. Oh wait, what about these? Does it say? Oh, I saved it, so let's try it again. And now, let's look. Office, phone camera, relative, they couldn't find it. They couldn't find any of these. So this doesn't do anything. So I guess for now we'll just try to do what we're doing here. So if I take up the snip that I made, so we have a function called transition camera 3D. They have it so it's like it's transitioning between the two. If they select it, okay. Let's see here. I don't think either of these are going to work. So let's remove that. We need to change this to a... So they have from camera to camera and then duration, float, etc. But we want to define the from camera and to camera as the player camera as the from camera, and then the computer camera as the to camera, because we want to go from the player to the computer. So let's start with essentially going off of what they have done, right? So it will be a from camera to a to camera 3D and then looks like duration float equals 1.0. Float equals 1.0. And then void. Okay. All these is what they were before, so if this goes wrong, we can just copy paste. If transitioning, return. If transitioning, return. We have if computer input is pressed. Let's try without the if transitioning return for now. Camera 3D dot FOV equals from FOV. Okay, it understood that. I didn't. Camera 3D dot col mask equals from col mask. What the heck is a col mask? That's what I want to know. Godot col mask. I have a scene 2 cameras and a bunch of objects that only one of the 2 cameras should see. These objects are going to runtime by instancing a scene in an area. If there is a better way to do this, I see camera, there is a culling mask, but my objects do not have a way for me to set the layer that would go inside the camera culling mask. What the heck is a cull mask? What is this? Stop saying it like you know. I don't know what that is. What is? Tell me. Tell me, internet. And is a culling mask for another? What is a culling mask? A light component's culling mask property is a layer-based mask that can be used to limit the objects that will be affected by the given light. What? My brain. My brain. It's made of mush and smooth as the orb. This is used to render parts of the scene selectively. For example, if a game object's layer is set to 2 and the second bit of the camera's culling mask is set to 0, the game object will be invisible to the camera. Oh, so does a coal mask mean that you limit the amount of things that the camera can see? So the camera's frame of view is the frame of view, and then the thing's coal mask is the from coal mask. I say that like I understood it. I assure you I didn't. And then camera 3D, global transform, from global transform. See, I understand this one. You move the camera position of where it was to where the camera that you're referring to. I understand that. You move the one camera to the location to the other camera. We're good. That is fine. We are on the same page with that. That is a good time. Then camera 3D current equals true. That I also understand. What this means is that, so there's a little toggle called a current, and that is like the quote-unquote current camera that you are looking through, because you can't look through every camera at the same time. There has to be one, and the one that is the one you're looking for is the one that is current. So we're setting it saying, hey, if you're going to be moving this camera, this is the camera you're going to be seeing through, which makes sense. And then transitioning equals true. Okay. Can I do this then? If transitioning return? Because we skipped it. But now does it understand that I'm transitioning? Am I spelling it wrong? What if we did this? Okay. Why? Why are you mad? Why are you mad? Can I do this? No? Okay. Well, you're mad at something, you're mad at something. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, fine, I'll put the transitioning back. There. Are you okay now? Alright. Sure, that makes sense, I guess. Then we go to tween, remove all. Okay. Then tween, interpolate. And that's not, are we going to cubic? I'm more of a squared kind of person, but okay. Interpolate property. And then apparently it's camera 3D. Global transform. Camera 3D. Dot global transform. Then to global transform. Or is it going to be to from global transform next? Or patrol. Nope, duration. Who would have thought? Then tween dot trans cubic. Then tween dot ease and out. Is that the new In-N-Out burger place? Yeah, no problem, glitch. Hopefully you're absorbing this more than I am. Tween is one. Listen, tween is one of those things where I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I just think it's a funny word. The fact that tweener is a word and it's one of the funniest words that I've ever come across is really funny to me. So we have that, but what? It's all red. Oh, okay. Do I need to do this? No. Oh, I didn't see it. Do I need to, after global transform, I need to do like this? What? But that's what it does. It does what it says. You do the boo-boo. Remove all. Then tween, interpolate. Identifier tween not declared in the current scope. Oh, or we have, is it because we didn't identify tween? I guess? I guess we just keep going until it figures itself out. You fool! Well, joke's on you, I'm gonna name it again. What you gonna do about it, huh? Interpolate property. We're gonna do it again? Damn right. But this time for FOV. So we're just gonna take all this. We're gonna take all this. And then we're gonna do that. And then instead of global transform, we're gonna do FOV. And then it's camera FOV. And then 2 FOV. And then okay, that should work now. And then we do something called tween.start with a cap. Nope. Okay, cool. It didn't like any of these tweens. Interesting. You don't say. Okay. And then we do something called a yield with a tween all completed. All right, see, that's fine. It says yields, you wait for everything to be done, and then once it's done, then you make the one that you went to as the current guy, and then you switch transitioning to false. No, that's not dot false, it's equals false, idealist. You didn't. What, tween? It is one of the funniest words considering apparently how important it is. Transition name equals false. Okay. Cool. So you don't like yield was removed in go.4. Please use await instead. That's funny. That's really funny. This thing literally said like, bro, we don't use yeet anymore. Please move away from yeet. It's skibbity now. You old pieces. Alright, fine. Await. There. I switched to await. You're gonna get mad at the other things now. So go ahead. There. I expected closing parenthesis after grouping expression. Yo, what? Speak English when you're talking to me. What does that mean? Expecting closing parenthesis. But there's only one, there's two parentheses. There's one here, The one here, why would I give you a second parenthesis? There you go. Are you happy now? Are you happy? Here's a third one. Are you happy now? Why are you telling me to give you a parenthesis? Do I need a parenthesis between all completed? I don't see a need for that. Expected closing for that. Is it because... No, there's no indentation that I need to worry about. Is it because you don't like the word tween? Let me see. Let me look at this. Let me look at this little guy. This scallywag, this little creature. Where are you? Well, first of all, where is it? Where did I... Oh, here it is. Alright, come here. This is the 2D. We don't need 2D. This is the 3D. Maybe? Let's mute you. You already talked, and I appreciate your video. I really, really do. Your editing's actually pretty good. Okay, hold on. So they have a function called switch camera, where it's a from to into the void, from current false to current true. I don't even know what it is. What does that even mean? My guy. He hasn't zoomed in. Get it on asset lib? Would you call me? Camera transition simple and the asset library. Got it. What if I click it? It just sends me directly back to the thing. Okay. View files. This is an add-on. I just wanna look at it, my guy. Give me the code. Call the function camera transition dot transition camera 3D with your cameras in the transition time. Camera transition, camera 2D, camera 1, camera 2 3.0 will transition from camera 1, camera 2 in 3 seconds. Oh. Sure. Going from one to the other within 3 seconds. That makes sense. That's fine. That's great. If that's the case, then I've been doing this wrong. Okay. So essentially we are making an entirely different function, and I have now put it in the other thing that I was doing, when in reality I needed to call camera transition from camera 1, camera 2, 3.0. Okay. Okay, so let's move back. Why is this cut off? Okay, so if this is pushed, so we're gonna do this. The camera 1 is player camera, and camera 2 is computer camera, and then 3. This is what it's gonna call. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna take all the things that we just did here, except for print, and we're gonna do that. And then we're gonna go ahead and do that. First of all, this can go down like right there. Perfect. So now we look at this and we turn this into a function transition camera 3D. And then this one is all this nonsense. Like that. which means I need to put this one back to its natural habitat because we're destroying the forests. The forest being my brain cells. And then, yeah, right, semicolon, And then now I will actually add, well, first of all, why is there so many indents, my guy? All right, rapid fire. There we go. Oh, wait. There we go. There we go. There we go. And then on here, if transitioning, you now have a new pronoun. Return. Okay. Did I spell anything wrong? Transition. The word transitioning is becoming less and less of a word, and it's going to actually drive me crazy. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but to me, yeah, it's a problem. What are you? Why is the problem? Expected semicolon after function declaration. Semicolon these nuts in your face. Await. Right, it doesn't. Why don't you like await? What is this? Why? Expect closing parenthesis that after grouping expression. But I did do the thing. I did obodo. Parenthesis tween underscore all underscore completed in quotation parenthesis. You're the one who didn't want me to, like, you're telling me I was using boomer language after saying yield. Use await instead. Like, okay, fine. So I used await. About to go to the movie theater. Oh, awesome. Have fun with for watching the Alien movie. Let me know what you think about it. You're gonna miss me losing my fucking mind with tweens in yield, which is actually await. Hope you have a Romulus of a time. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but hope you have a good time. Enjoy your alien, sir. Let me know what you think about it tomorrow. Or Discord. I don't really care. Either or. I'm assuming you're not going to be back in 30 minutes, so just let me know. Whenever. Thank you, thank you. I will certainly be coding. I'm not going to guarantee I'm going to have fun with it, but we're here, and we're technically coding. In the lowest denominator description of what I'm doing. As I start screaming at the computer, being like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What does this mean? Hey, cute dude, what's up? For a second, I thought that said a cute dodo, and I was like, oh, look at us. We're sharing. Thanks for the follow. No, I'm just watching this while I'm just trying to set up my first stream. Hell yeah, Glitch. Hell yeah. Congrats on you trying to set that up. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. Let me copy it. You know what? Fine, I won't copy it. I'm still gonna look it up though. I joined the Discord, by the way. Oh, thank you for joining up. Now you will get all the things. Hope you have a good time with it. Godot, expected closing parenthesis. Yeah. Tell me, what the heck does that mean? What does expected closing mean? Let's go down. The problem is that you are giving a type in the call. You can only give type hints when defining a function, not when calling one. What? What? Oh, I feel silly. I knew that. Yeah. I also know that. Yeah. You can only give type when defining a function, so you need to change the call to tile options, tile type, adjacent tile. Tile type. Array. See you later, and it's dodo to use, good sir. I am only giving the illusion of a duck today. To scare the birds away. Considering I'm a rubber duck for the debugging purposes, there seems to be a lot less lacking in debugging. Mr. Await trigger. I'll take Doduck. I'll take that. I'll take that. All right. Yes, it does sound like it sounds like an evolution of a duck, then you doduck, and then there'll be a third evolution. Dodo duck. You just keep on adding does to it. Okay, file type, and then it's like, oh, tile options type. So you can't define anything. So they put an array in it and it didn't work. And it's just like, oops, teehee, I added an array. I still don't. The error message is self-explanatory. My guy. The least amount of help in the world. Imagine asking like, hey, what's the problem? And then they're like, hey, the problem is self-explanatory. Is a crazy sentence. Closing is expected, but you didn't provide it. You are missing a closing bracket. Every opening bracket should have a matching closing bracket. I have two brackets. I have one and then two. I have two brackets though. But why? I'm not too familiar with Godot 4, but according to the documentation, there takes to be a signal routine. Assuming your request completed is an array that holds a signal or a coroutine. I know how to read. Given your square bracket usage, then I believe changing your code to the below should fix the issue. It's only self-explanatory if there's an obviously missing bracket. The line position triggers the message when the actual problem is missing vector I before the first bracket. The line position. Can you hear my brain shutting down? Can you hear my brain oozing out of my ears right now? Because I do. Or at least I hear something. A buzzing in the ear. It may be... let's see. It may be... Maybe... I don't even know. After carriage turn completed. Await is not a function. Thus, the opening parentheses is interpreted as a grouping expression. This is expected to end before the comma. Oh. Okay. See, that's explaining it to me. Await is not a function. Cool. So we went from something that it was a function to something that's no longer a function. So now we have to completely change the look of it. That's at least something. That at least gives me something, Mr. It's self-explanatory. You have an open parentheses and a closed parentheses. Bro, I got both. I got two parentheses. which is expected to end before the comma keyword. So they have active player turn dot completed. So I should just do potentially await dot this. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Okay. That's great. Nothing like you think you fixed it, and it turns out you didn't. All right, so let's look back, because they had like a little thing saying like, hey, this might have messed up everything. Let's see. If anyone's having trouble to make this work, Godot 4. Replace the code after transitioning true at 342. Okay. Replace everything with... Hold on. No. Just give it to me. Tween. Anyone's having trouble Godot 4 after transitioning equals true. Where is transitioning? Oh, as in the very bottom? Well, the transitioning... Wait. Oh, hold on. And then transitioning equals true. Was that enough? It still doesn't define transitioning. Tween equals create tween, set parallel, ease, property, global transform, FOV from wait the tween to be complete, await tween finished. If you're trying to tween to a movie carry, create a variable to hold a tween follow property and then set the fourth argument to interpolate property to the variable. As you hear my soul leave my body, I have aged. I have become a wrinkled old man. My brain has become so wrinkled that oh, so have I. Yes. I want to know why this thing thinks. Where do I define transitioning? Where do I define? Oh, wait. I didn't do that part. I need to do auto load. That's right. We need to go to project. Yeah. Project settings. Auto load. Oh, right. It was... We made it a completely different... script. Actually... Set path. Let's see here. And we're gonna do scripts. And we're gonna do auto load. Zoom object. Open. Add. How do you turn off the background on the VO2 MIDI? You mean like the green background? So on the screen, or on the stream rather? Because pretty much all you need to do is, well, if you minimize VO2, does it go away on your stream? No? Hold on. Let me look at mine. Let's see here. Where is Mama Dodo? Where is Mama Dodo? No, seriously, where's Mama Dodo? Oh, there it is. Oh, in the properties of the source, there is a text box. There's a checkbox called Allow Transparency. Click that, or check that. Here, I will show. Where is my display? There you go. See? This is Mama Dodo, seen behind the scenes, and there is a Allow Transparency checkbox here. Once that's checked, that should allow you to not see the background of your little PNG tuber thing. Let me know if that worked. No problem. Alright, so we have the project settings. We've added this to that. It's now auto-loaded. Yay. They made it so that it was a completely separate scene. But if we did it... There's a problem to that, right? If we moved all of our cameras to a completely separate scene... If we move our objects... Well, I guess they would be underneath here, but they would be linked to a different scene. Alright, let's get rid of this. But I think that might be a cause of our big problems right now. Alright, they're talking about the tween, they're talking about the camera. They're talking about scene tree tween, which I have no idea what the heck that's about. Transition camera. If transitioning returned, but they don't show the very top of it. I think that's the problem, is that I didn't identify the top of it. So I guess this is what we're gonna do. We're just gonna have to do it this way. We're gonna copy. Watch the beginning is just like, oh yeah, the transition equals pi times infinity. I don't know. And then let's do you. Here it is. Here you go. Well, this is something, I guess. Load steps, format path, transition. Name, camera 2D, type, camera 2D parent, tween. What the heck? Yeah, okay. Here we go. So we're gonna... None of those did anything, so we're just gonna... That's fine. So on ready. I know how to do stuff. At on ready. Sorry, I just sneezed really loudly. Oh god. Oh. My voice. I have been cursed with dad sneezes ever since I was a child. Camera 3D. and it's that camera? Really? And then on ready variable tween is equal to tween, which equals to tween. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Yeah? No, not to me. Variable transitioning is a bool, which equals false. What? Just what? Well, at least all that is kind of figured it out. Oh, I should have kept the plant or camera and computer camera. Can I like... I'm gonna copy all this. Give me my things back. Thank you. Cannot assign the value type node to variable tween with specified type tween. Got you. It doesn't like this. I don't like it either. But why don't I like it? Well, why don't you like it? That's the real question. I swear, Godot, you need to work on your communication skills. Why don't you like this? I made it just for you, for anniversary. Oh. I'll say, do any of these actually have any of those? So let's see if I understand this. Because so I am on ready. We take the variable 3D camera, or camera 3D, and we make it a thing called a camera. Cool. But I believe I now need to switch all these here to camera 3D. And boop. 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 Is that also? And then this is camera. And camera. Is that not what the thing told me to do up top? Is that we turned camera 3D camera into camera. Do I need to do this? So lowercase camera 3D became camera 3D equals camera? Why does that make that makes no sense to me. I don't understand. I do not understand what I am doing. How about the tween? Is it something to do with there's a tween? Do I need to say tweener? Is that better? If I did that, does that make it better for you? Was it good for you? Huh. I don't know. I mean, more than likely I'm using old code, which is the problem. So there's like title differences that are like tidal wave differences. So if I go tween, we have property tweener, interval tweener, callback tweener, method tweener, tweener, and tween. So I picked tween. Is it because I don't have a tween? The idea of putting all the cameras in their own scene does make sense. And it probably is a good idea. Probably. And that maybe explain why this is happening. So because if I take this out, it's just going to be like, brr, but what about all the tween mentions? And then I take it back and they're like, ah, well, that's not good enough. Why did you tell me? And then this one apparently is something else. What's your problem? Okay, what is the other one? Camera transition not declared in the current scope. Did I not? We have switch camera. We have ready. We have at the ready camera 3D dot current equals false. Oh, ready into the void, whatever this combination of things would mean. Cool. At least I defined transitioning. At least it was just like, oh, thank God, I had no idea what that was. Oh, sweet. Congrats, Glitch. What you streaming anyway? Or are you just trying things out? Cult of the Lamb? Nice. No transitioning, none of that kind of stuff. Tween all, tween camera, transition camera. Identifier camera 3D not declared. I did declare camera 3D. What do you mean? Oh. There. Okay. Alright. Have a good one, Glitch. And then now, camera transition. So I have transition camera 3D. But where? Oh, of course. Anytime. What? Transition camera. Oh, that was the thing that it was like, oh, be sure to copy that. And then I made this one, and then for the 3D call function, camera transition dot transition camera 3D. First of all, it's camera 3D, not 2D. Idealist. Calm down. And then camera transition dot transition Call the function camera transition camera 3D with your cameras and transition time. We'll transition camera 1 function in 3 seconds. All right. I think my brain is mushed enough. I have mashed potatoes for brains. And until I fix this part at the very least, I imagine we're not going to be able to test it. So, I think we are going to call it here. Thank all of you for joining me here today on this wonderful... Usually we do game stuff on Mondays, but since Satisfactory is coming out tomorrow, we're probably going to be playing that a lot. So, yes, hopefully I will see y'all tomorrow, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.